And we are live. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us for a special live stream. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Kyle, joining us. And so I'm gonna tell you haven't heard the story either, but I'm gonna tell the story of how I learned about you. So I actually didn't really. So okay. So initially, I made a post in my community tab, and I was like, okay, what guests do you guys want to see me bring on? And you were definitely like at the top of the list. A lot of people were saying Coach Kyle, Coach Kyle. But honestly, dude, when I heard the name Coach Kyle, I don't know, it just like sounded to me like Coach Kyle, like it's gonna be some like cliche motivational advice, like your neighborhood Coach Kyle. Like that was just an impression I had when I heard that. So I didn't even like really research you. I was like, oh, it's probably gonna be like whatever, like something like watered down, right? So then. But I had the name in the back of my head. And then 2 months ago, I saw the video Avery Hayden made where I don't know if you saw that, but where he compared your game to someone else. And then he actually posted infield of you. And I was watching that. I was like, oh, damn, like this guy's solid. And so then at that point, I started to like look into your channel more. And what I found interesting is that me and you have a lot in common, like a lot, like so many different aspects. First of all, we're both from Jersey, like living half an hour apart from each other. Kind of got like the same look that we're going for, like tattoos. You have a little bit more of the skin fade, but all right. But also just our game is very similar. Like I don't know how to describe the style, but it's like kind of like direct, masculine, no bullshit, kind of like cocky, funny. Like I don't know how to like more natural style game. Like the people that watched of you, like you're not really doing too many gaming routines or anything like that, which is the shit that honestly I find kind of cringe in the pickup community. Like our styles are quite similar. I think the one difference is that you're a little bit more cold approach, and I'm a little bit more online. Other than that, I was looking at that. I was like, damn, like it's very interesting. So I was definitely wanted to have you on for those reasons and more.
For sure, bro. Actually, that's funny because when I started watching your videos, I think it was kind of similar. Like I heard your name a bunch, but I never really like looked into it because I don't know. Playing with fire I didn't know what the fuck it was. You know what I'm saying? Because the name didn't make. I don't know. I didn't know what it was.
Juggles fire.
Yeah, I watched your video and yeah, you just kind of give off that same kind of vibe. I think I don't know if it's a Jersey thing or what the fuck it is, but
must be that Jersey bro game.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I definitely noticed that about you too. Maybe that's probably why it resonated. And honestly, I don't do these live streams a lot, but you just seem like a cool dude. So I was like, fuck it, man, let's hop on.
Thanks, man. I much appreciate. So do you want to give for anyone who's not familiar with you, just give like maybe a 1 minute overview of just who you are, mainly what you do?
Sure. Okay. Started out, I mean, I'll try to really summarize this, but started out super shy, antisocial computer nerd, essentially just World of Warcraft addict.
Yeah, I used to play that too.
17, 18, I was that dude that didn't leave the fucking, if you ever watched the South Park episode of World of Warcraft, like, that was me to the T. And pretty much got into a relationship when I was 20 years old. It was like one of my first lays with a girl who arguably was out of my league at the time. Stayed with her for about 5 years. And towards the end of the relationship, I started getting into game. At which point I started realizing all of my fuck ups throughout my entire high school and every failure I ever had with a girl, like it started to all make sense. I just started diving deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. And then the more I started learning about game, the more I just got obsessed with it, but I couldn't take action. So I had to pay a coach to end up, I actually paid Todd V to take a fucking 1 week course with him in like 2014 or 2015. I think that kind of got me out of my shell a little bit, got me in the habit of actually approaching and socializing with strangers, kept pushing myself throughout that, took another boot camp or course, I think the following year. And then pretty much have just been hammering out night game with occasionally doing some day game for the last 5 years or so. And it started out pretty much just coaching my friends that I was going out with. I was just sharing knowledge with everybody instinctually because, I'm out socializing with dudes. I'm like, yo, dude, do this, do this, do this. And I just was so passionate about it. I was like, yo, my closest friends are like pretty much like students, but they're friends. So I just naturally started coaching people. Then I got an email from Todd saying, hey, we're looking for assistant coaches. I applied to be an assistant coach for Todd. I started being a cameraman for one of his coaches. And then a couple months in, there was an altercation where he essentially fired me from the business due to something that was out of my hands, really. I did a fake testimonial for a dating coach who I actually met on his course. So there was a guy there that I made friends with. He helped me. He asked me to do a testimonial for him. Cool, I did it. But him and Todd got into an altercation because he stole Todd's clients off of the course. And they got into some shit. It was at the same time Todd broke up with RSD. So he was like, honestly, you're a good dude, but I need to protect my brand. And I got this lawsuit going on right now. And this guy's kind of a rival of mine. And it's nothing personal, but I need to let you go. And once that happened, pretty much after working with his assistants and seeing his assistants, I was like, yo, I could do this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, I should be one of the coaches. So once he kind of let me go in February of 2019, I think April, I recorded my first couple infields, and then I launched my channel in May of 2019. And here we are, fucking a year.
Your channel's actually newer than mine then. At what point did your channel take off? Because you have like 250,000 subs now or something like that. Like your channel, in terms of this niche, like in terms of pickup, like it's quite popular. What point did your channel start taking off?
So it's kind of funny because initially my goal for the 1 year mark was to hit 1,000 subscribers. Everything I had learned about YouTube was like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Right. Consistency and quality. Gotta keep doing that. So my goal was put out 2 videos every week for a year and try to hit 1,000 subscribers. So after being, essentially, I'm just a master student of pickup because I was just obsessed with it for 5-6 years. I watched every instructor's paid programs, torrented most of them illegally, but I watched everybody's paid content. So I knew what the top guys were putting out and charging money for. I just went out and filmed the same caliber of infield and was putting out the breakdowns for free. And I did paid advertising, and I would pay to put my videos on the recommended of like Todd, all the RSD guys, pretty much like Tay Social, just guys that were in the niche. So I was trying to put out the quality content with my rivals, and I was paying for it. And it built up really slowly at first. I was literally paying like $4 a subscriber. I think I dropped probably about $3,000 in the first 6 months to hit 1,000 subs. And then shit, man, I think right after that, a couple of my videos started going into the algorithm. And then I woke up one day, I hit 1,000. The next day I hit 1,500. And then I woke up the next day and I had shot up 4K overnight. And then like the next 3 days, I jumped up to like 20K, and then it started to slow down. But it was right around the time where BBC made this documentary exposing pickup artists and like Radicus, all those guys took their infield down, or their accounts got deleted. Everybody took down their infield. I took down the majority of my infield, but the videos I kept up started shooting up and up and up into the algorithm more and more. And then pretty much over the course of the next couple months, I just slowly started releasing all the videos that I had taken down. Unfortunately, I think my 5 best infields aren't even on YouTube because literally they hit over 1 million views, and the girls found out about themselves being in the videos, and I pretty much have been threatened been taken to court like 4 or 5 times at this point. So, yeah, it's unfortunate because actually I put those videos out when I was at like 200, 300 subs. I wasn't even censoring the girls' faces or anything because I was like, I got 200 subs. I'm getting fucking 50 views per video. I wasn't expecting any of it, you know? So once it went viral, I got a text within a week from one girl, and then pretty much any video that's ever gotten close to hitting 1 mil has had to been taken down, which is, it's really a shame because at one point my channel was literally going up steady 1,200, 1,500 subs a day. I had to take down my best fucking infields. So channel took a hit, probably going up like 200 subs a day right now, which is like significant decline, but COVID's ending soon, and you know I'm out gaming at this point. I could definitely start refilming and shit. So,
do you do like consent forms or anything, or like what's your process for infield?
No, at this point, I really just make sure everything is blurred and all information about the girl is removed, and there's just like nothing that can trace back to the girl other than essentially her voice. You know what I'm saying? So the girl I've been dating for a while now is telling me I should just go up to the girls after the recording and try to get consent. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Like, what girl wants to fucking consent to that? I don't know.
You have to bang the girl. You're going to have to get compliance really high. So you're going to have to bang the girl. You're going to have to, like, right as, like, she's about to come, like, by the way, is it cool if I put on
for real, right?
What?
For real. No,
she said yes. I got on camera.
And Dayton is like, she wants to film the infield. So we were thinking, like, as the interaction, she comes up with me and presents it to the girl. Like, honestly, we approached you because we thought you were like the hottest girl in the club. We educate men. I don't know. I think it could work, but at the same time, I just don't think it would happen. You know what's funny is actually I was out last night gaming at some spot in Jersey where it's not too bad with COVID. Like, you walk into the venue, everyone's at their tables, but the masks are off. So I'm kind of walking around the venue, opening people here and there. I ended up making out with two different girls, but one of the girls I exchanged phone numbers with. I exchanged IGs because I couldn't poll because of she was there with this sorority group that needed to go somewhere, whatever. She texted me today. It was like, good morning, this and that. An hour later, she was like, so I found your YouTube channel. I was wondering if you did the same thing with me last night. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man. What? Like, it made me realize, like, I literally can't even give out my Instagram anymore or my phone number or even give out my actual name. I don't even fucking know. Like, literally, I'm going to have a fucking fake identity, I feel like. So
dude, some of these chicks are like little fucking cyber detectives. Like, my booty call was over last night.
I was shocked.
Yeah, dude, all right, listen to this story. My booty call was over last night, right? And then, like, in the court, whatever, we're just talking. And somehow she found out. This is like, guys, I already saw this in the comments. Like, I made an OnlyFans video with this one chick who's like a very low-level porn star. And some of the guys I'm playing with fire found out. But anyway, so I never told her that, right? And just came up in the course of conversation. And she's like, oh, wow. She's like, I want to see the video. I was like, you really want to see me fucking another chick? She's like, well, kinda. I was like, all right, like, she's like, I'm gonna find it anyway, so you might as well show me. I'm like, you're not gonna find it. And she's like, no, I can find it. I was like, there's no way. She found it, like, with zero information. She was able to just stalk her way through all my social media, find that girl within 5 minutes. It was literally the most impressive online creeping I've ever seen.
It really is, bro. It's scary, honestly. It's kind of scary what the technology has. And not, you know what's even crazier? The first girl that I ever went viral with, who was threatening to sue me, since the channel went so viral, like, there's these guys that literally downloaded the infield before I was able to delete it, and now they have the uncensored infield, and they're putting it up like PUA Lost Files is one of the channel names, and he posted the infield, and she just retexted me like a fucking week ago and was like, what the fuck is this? I thought I was done with you. Worst decision of my life. Take this shit down, blah, blah, blah. Like, it doesn't fucking stop, dude. Honestly, it's really annoying, but
yeah, I know, man. I had the only piece of controversy. Well, I had two. I had Vice did an article on me, and I lost my Facebook group because of that. But the more recent one is I made a video on. And I did not expect this to like become a big deal, but I made a video on how to bang sugar babies off seeking arrangement. Right? It was like a pretty straightforward video, and I gave like some examples, dude. I don't know how, but within a week, all these fucking sugar babies had found my video and were just like in the comments, literally saying shit like, you should die, like, you deserve to go to hell, you should be in jail. Literally, my crime is paying for sex. Like, I don't even know what I'm accused of. Like, but they were like, so then it gets a lot worse. They somehow found my private Instagram, started sending me all these hate comments, like, you're a fucking piece of shit. Started commenting on, you know, like, for example, girls who I'm friends with, they'll post like, oh, cute picture, and they would reply shit like, do you know that this guy is a fucking rapist or like whatever, like, or like whatever else, molester, whatever else they accuse me of. I don't even know how they come up with this shit. And then it gets one step further. Then they, the CEO of Seeking Arrangement made has his own Instagram. They tagged me on his Instagram saying, hey, his name is Brandon Wade. Brandon, you should sue this guy. He's blah, 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 blah. All right. So then within a week, I get a fucking email from their lawyers saying that they want to take me to court because I'm violating. And it wasn't for the thing that they were trying to go after me for was violation of their trademark. Right. So yeah, I was like 99% sure that literally if I had the money to battle them, I would have fucking won that law case. And I literally debated just like taking all my money and just fucking making it big. But then I just had to take the video down. So in case anyone who's wondering where that video went, that's the story behind that. But yeah, it's a shame because the issue is that when you put out the content, because what do people want to see? They want to see more like infield. They want to see like, more controversial content. But usually the reason that it's hard for us YouTubers to make that content is because we get shit like that, like whatever, like weird people threaten to sue us.
For sure.
Yeah, man. The other question I want to ask you, so what would you say is your balance right now with like in terms of how much do you do cold approach and how much do you do online?
I do zero online.
Okay, interesting.
I do zero online. I'd say almost all of my lays ever, and I'm in the low hundreds at this point. None online. None.
You gotta switch over to the dark side. Lazy guy.
I guess, especially with COVID going on and shit, but I don't know. It never interests me. I guess for some reason, I think it might just because like I legitimately like the hunt and the aspect of going out and socializing. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, and not to knock what you're doing. I think it's great, and everybody's all about online game, especially with COVID and everything. But at the end of the day, I don't know, dude. Like I don't hunt because I'm hungry. Like I fucking hunt for sport. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just part of it. And there's so much more to it too than just actually getting laid. You know, like I really think it changed my persona, my charisma, my personality, my quick-wittedness, my improvisational skills, my confidence, my networking, my best friends I've met out from cold approach at the gym, people I've opened that I never thought I would be with or in my life at all. So there's so much that kind of goes into it. I think another thing was I was just getting enough leads coming in from going out and shit that I didn't need it. And then another thing is I'm in the fucking middle of nowhere in Jersey too. So it's not like I'm in Miami where I got on Tinder is like dimes everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, but I don't know, man. When I visit my mom in Jersey, there's some like hot ass horny girls who are like in the middle of nowhere and they're stuck. Like I thought like I one chick, she worked at an insane asylum that was like 10 miles, and then like I picked her up and fucked her in the parking lot of this insane asylum. Like, like crazy shit happens in Jersey, man.
That's wild. That's why. I mean, you would know more than I do. So I mean, I'm sure with the right profile, you can match with hot women wherever. That's kind of the beauty of it, right? But I guess to answer the question though, yeah, I've always just been on the cold approach side of things because that was just how I got in the game and how I kind of learned success and confidence with women and social.
What were your biggest like? You mentioned you did a program with Tom. What were your mentors? Like, who do you feel like you learned from the most in terms of like when you were kind of learning pickup?
I think in my learning stages, I had different phases where I would really just fully immerse myself in one particular instructor and really just embody everything that one instructor had to learn from. So like Todd's notorious for having very technical, analytical approach to game. And, he has all these like technicalities of how you could verbally escalate and how you physically escalate. And then I was learning from like Julian, who was a lot more into, I guess what you would say is like our kind of game, which is like just self-amusement, fun, cocky, funny, play away kind of a thing. So I learned a lot about that from Julian. I guess like from every instructor, I was studying a lot of RSD at the time because this was like probably at their peak 6 years or 7 years ago or so. Years. So like all of those guys, Madison, Max, Julian, Tyler, even Todd. I was big into the RSD stuff. Honestly, in hindsight, now at the level I'm at, when I go back and look at it, honestly, some of the infield's a little questionable, honestly, because like after going through the whole editing process and blurring and just knowing how I could cut things and stuff, like I see other people's infield a little bit differently now. And although it was definitely educational, like I really think I idolize these guys like too much. And honestly, I don't think they're doing anything that's like world class. You know what I'm saying? I think it's good. Obviously, it's extremely educational, but like I think I used to idolize those guys so much, and it's just been a weird transition seeing your idols just become like not even competition anymore. They're not even in pickup, So it's like it's almost depressing, but whatever. I guess there's a new age, So
yeah, RSD was totally. So you're talking about like 5-6 years ago. RSD, their content was totally different back then than what it is now. So I learned. So the three biggest sources for me were RSD Julian, but his old school RSD Julian, like his old videos 6 years ago, like they were full of value. Like even his free content. His first product, Pimp, I thought it was one of the, was a really solid product. Every product he made after that was paled in comparison.
That's lower, yeah. I think it was.
First product nailed it.
It was just in that 10 game. I wasn't. I don't know. Like I said, dude, I wasn't impressed by any of those products, and I was just trying to put out what they were putting out for free on YouTube. I seen some of your videos, and like I even see some people commenting like, "Yo, this is premium quality content."
I know, yeah.
I saw that. Like,
people will be like, "Well, why should I buy your product? I already learned. I'm already getting a lot of pussy from your free videos." I was like, "You can get more pussy, man." Like,
it's true. I was always the same way as you. Hit them with that value up front. You know what I'm saying? Show the result. Let them see a result. Because the people that are skeptical, they need to see that first initial push and then back. So I was always very firm believer in just throwing the value out there up front.
Yeah, I always found those videos really cringe when someone just the whole video is just like the sales pitch. There's like 30 seconds of value and then it's just like all sales pitch. And you're like watching this video like, come on, like Jesus Christ, man. So yeah, I'm fully with you. But two other big sources for me, I've talked about this in the past was, let me know if you've heard of these guys, swooptheworld.com.
No.
And Revolutionary Lifestyle Design. So those two sources, they're quite different than RSD. So they affected like the way I thought about sexual market value, the way I thought about like travel, sexual arbitrage, like, you know, just leveling up. Like, so like it definitely like my game became like a fusion of that and then stuff I discovered on my own. But that was kind of the foundation, you know, for the PWF style.
For sure. One other person I did study for a long time and I still do is Arash Dibazar. I don't know if you heard of him. He's probably only got a following about.
Is that the guy in San Francisco, the Indian guy?
No, he's I forgot what he is. I think he was born in Iran. He's tatted out dude.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, in Iran. Yeah, he's got the piercing. Yeah.
Very extreme guy, definitely on the extreme side of the spectrum, but fucking awesome, super advanced, more long-term seduction, clearly, because he's got 5 girlfriends that all like are with him monogamously. But he definitely taught me a lot, and I think it's good to have different sources. Like, he's so extreme and dominant and powerful. You need somebody that can show you that side of things. I'm not going to learn that from RSD Tyler or Todd V.
Definitely not.
So you need to learn a little. I just put out a video about this. Essentially, it's like, you need to have the total package. You need to have a dominant side to you. You need to be that aggressive leader, that guy that can fucking pin her down and choke her the fuck out and pull her hair and smack her ass and fuck the shit out of her. You also need to know every aspect of it. Like, it's cool to be fun and funny and flirty and playful. Yeah. It's everything. So I strongly encourage guys, learn from all instructors. And when you learn from an instructor, like really any instructor I've learned from, I just immerse myself in them so much to a point where when I was out, I would be able to think like them. And I would really just like be able to, like, if I was studying Todd at the time, I would know what Todd would say in this point. If I was studying Julian, I would know how Julian would act in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I try to embody the best characteristics from each instructor and then try to just combine all that into my own game.
Yeah, the good thing, like kind of sitting where we're sitting is like, I personally, when I watch infield or whatever, any instructor, I can tell within a few minutes whether legit or not. Like, to me, it's very rare that, like, you know, I'm going to be surprised about something in his chart. Like, oh shit, he wasn't legit. Like, it's really apparent. Like, I can just spot game like very easily. A lot of guys can't. So they wind up like, you know, going down the rabbit hole with, like, let's say instructors who are just like mainly bullshitting. So it's unfortunate. I don't know, maybe we need to start some kind of like a list or something like that. But then it's all going to be subjective, you know. So that's the problem with something like that.
It's tough.
Yeah, the other point I wanted to bring up was completely slipped my mind. Let's crack into the questions. What I wanted to ask you was, nope, slipped my mind again. God damn it. I've been having these brain freezes lately. I actually just got COVID a month ago, and like,
no shit.
I sort of recovered, but still recovering.
Did it affect you? Like, was it tough, or what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I never had to go to the hospital or anything. I was like, I mean, I did a live stream when I was like in the middle of COVID. And guys saw me. I was just like sniffling and shit. But basically, I just lost my sense of smell and taste for a while, and I couldn't really breathe properly. So I was always getting like headaches just because I couldn't really breathe. And I was just like always tired. I was basically just like, I don't know, just like spending the whole day like just kind of like a zombie. But it wasn't like too bad. I knocked it out with a series of high dose vitamin C IVs. So that was the game changer for me.
Got you. Interesting. Yeah, I've been dosing on the vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc, but I don't know, bro. Like I said, I was out last night making out with 2 different girls. Like, I probably already got it and I didn't even know, but whatever, man. Whatever. Anyway, let's
I'm not too worried about it. Like, I don't really give a shit. Like, dude, I didn't even think I had it for a while. It's just like when I lost my sense of smell, like literally you know what the turning point was? My booty call was over. She's like, Alex, honestly, your bathroom smells disgusting. I was like, what are you talking about? It doesn't smell at all. She's like, no, it smells so gross. And I was like, I don't smell anything. And then I was like, I don't smell anything at all. I was like, oh shit, I got the Rona. So I went and got tested.
Interesting. All right, man. So let's jump into this.
Let's crack into questions. Yeah. Kyle, how do you win over a girl's friend so easily? Like in one video, you talked to the chick at the club and made her big guy friend approve of you. I don't have tattoos. Am I at a big disadvantage?
That's funny. Are you at a disadvantage because you don't have tattoos? I don't know, man. Like, if you think tattoos are ruining your game, why don't you get a tattoo then? Like, guys always ask me that. Like, do I need to get tattoos? I mean, well, it's easy for you because you're tatted up. Like, if it really is hindering your perspective that much and it's like a fucking limiting belief for you and it's that effective, I don't think me telling you it's going to stop is going to change that belief. So, like, you might as well just go get tatted, honestly. But little side tangent. But let's see.
Yeah, also, if you like tattoos, like, I've always liked tattoos. So I didn't get tattoos just to get pussy. I've always liked tats anyway. The pussy was like the icing on the cake.
For sure. I think it's about the total package of how you look. So pretty much like – I guess what this guy's trying to say is like, if I had tattoos, would I be able to win them over? But essentially what he's really trying to say is like, if I looked a little bit more badass or a little bit more alpha, would I be able to win over friends easier? I actually would say yes. I think people that have received higher status, people are naturally going to be more friendly and more receptive to you. If I'm a skinny, awkward creep, off rip, their guard's going to be up. If I'm a confident – and I haven't spoke, but if I'm just confident and I look like I'm that guy, people are going to have a tendency to treat me like that guy, especially once I start communicating and they're like, he really is that guy. So is it just tattoos? No, it's the total package that you're presenting out there because there's a lot of guys that are tatted that aren't getting laid and aren't winning over the male friend of the group. So it's really the total package. Are you coming in too threatening? It depends on the group dynamic too, right? So if it's all girls, it's going to be different than if there's guys there. If there's guys there, typically, there's so many different situations. You got to analyze, are these guys, boyfriends? Are they protectors or are they kind of beta? Like last night, one of the girls I made out with, it was 2 girls and 2 guys at the table. I could tell just from the dynamic, okay, these guys aren't fucking these girls. I could just tell because the body language, the communication, the way they looked, it was pretty clear that everybody was just friends. So in that situation,
a whole table of just friend zones.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So I was talking to my boys, and at some point, the guys actually got up to go to the bathroom. And at one point, I made eye contact with the cuter one at the table because I was standing at some fire heater thing. It's cold in Jersey already. I made eye contact with her. I pretty much just gave her like a head nod and smiled at her. And my boy was like talking about her already. So I was like, oh, are you talking about her? And I did that as she was looking over at me. I just held good eye contact. I smiled at her. She looked at me, and then I waved her over. She was like, yeah, you. I was like, come here. And then she starts walking over. The first thing I did was I wanted the friend to come over too, because all I'm thinking in this moment is there's going to come a time where these 2 guys come back, and if the other girl isn't over here as well, it's going to look like I'm just hitting on her, and the 3 of them are going to be waiting for this to wrap up, and I'm probably going to get top blocked. So this kind of ties back into how you win over friends is you got to be a little perceptive of what's going on. But essentially, I started talking to them. I was like, what's up? What's going on? This and that. Vibing. I was like, yeah, what's up with those guys? I kind of even phrased it in a way that implied that they were like nice guys. And they were like, yeah, they're just friends of ours, this and that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't want them to fucking come over and get all confrontational just because I'm talking to you guys. And they were like, no, it's cool. They're not going to blah, 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 blah.
They know their place.
They went back to their table, and I continued talking to them. My wing started talking to the friend. We kind of moved a little bit away from the table, so I wasn't right in front of them. Built up the vibe a little bit. Quick little makeout. I'm not going to go too far in that. I'm kind of diving off topic. But essentially, how do you win over the friends? One, you want to come in non-threatening. Because if they were all at that table and I just went straight up to my target and was like, hey, I thought you were super cute. I wanted to come over and say hi. That's coming in threatening. The friends are now, the male friends are going to perceive me as a threat. And that's instantly going to put up a little bit of resistance.
And there's also a lot of pressure on the girl in that situation.
Of course. And there's also a lot of pressure on her because now she's like I can't look like a slut. Even if I'm attracted to you, I don't want them to see me just openly throwing myself at a stranger. So it's a lose-lose. So first thing is come in non-threatening, meaning you open indirect, or you wait for an opportunity where you can communicate with her without the potential cock block scene. That's one route you take. From there, you want to transition. And then what I like to do is I get the target to introduce me to the friends. So in this scenario, she came over. I saw the guys came back. I saw them looking over. I was like, oh, are these your friends over here? I said it loud enough so that they heard me ask that question to her. It's like I'm prepping them for the open before I even open. Over here. And they look over and she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I was like, introduce me. Like, let's meet them. Because I already knew they were grilling me. I'm just going to go up, be non-confrontational, and just be cool. So I go up. I said what's up to them. Chopped it up for a couple minutes. The one dude was like so salty. I just don't pay him any mind. That I'm like oblivious to the fact that he's fucking pissed off. And I'm just putting out good energy, vibing with the other dude. And at some point I went back onto the girl. So are you always going to win over the friends? No, honestly, you're not, especially with jealous beta males that want that girl. Mm-hmm. Those are like the typical white knights. You know what I'm saying? If it's all girls, it's a little bit easier, especially if I already have this girl won over. Typically, I'll be like, yo, introduce me to your friends. We go in. Or another thing, like I said, oh, are these your friends right here? Yo, and make sure they hear me. I'm prepping them for the open. I do that a lot, especially during COVID, because everybody's at their own little table. It's not like a sardine-packed club anymore. So if I just go up to the table, it's an abrupt open. If I get their attention before I open, they're prepared for the open a little bit. So I could go a 2-hour rant on this. I'm going to try to close it off with come in non-threatening. If you can, have your target introduce you to the rest of the friend group. And then I just want to be friendly and vibe with the group. It's almost like I'm flirting without escalating on the other girls. It's like, it's playful back and forth. And occasionally I'll even talk about the target to the friends. Like, so who's the leader of the group? Who's the troublemaker of the group? It's her, isn't it? And I'll point to the target and they're like, yeah, it's her, this and that. Fuck, yo, I knew it. Like, she's cute, but she's definitely the troublemaker of the group. I knew I couldn't fucking trust this girl. So I can hit on her while interacting with the friends. You know what I'm saying? As long as I don't see male, if there's a dude that's pissed off in the group, I'm not going to do all that. It's calibrated. It depends on the situation. That's what my piece is on this without doing a 1-hour lecture on it.
No, that would be fun. Everything you said makes sense. My strategy is slightly different. Cool. I agree with the whole part about being not threatening, about being tactful. Generally speaking, I try to, I almost avoid, like, so say there's a girl. I'll use my ex-girlfriend as an example. I met her at a bar. She was with 10 people, guys, girls, whatever. Came in, I just opened her. I was like, hey, like, I want to meet you. Huge group of people. And there's like a few friends who were like kind of looking. I was like, hey, Alex, just like good eye contact with everyone. And then flirt with her for a few minutes and isolate, right? So generally my strategy is I'll try to isolate, the person. Sure. I also try to make a distinction whether, I think it's important, whether the guy in question is, her brother or like her friend who's not trying to fuck her or a guy that's trying to fuck her. And I'll handle those situations completely different. It's like her brother, right? I'll be a lot more friendly. Or like, someone platonic, I'll be like, yeah, what's up, man? I'll shoot the shit with him a little bit. Now, if it's a guy who's trying to fuck her, I'll literally straight up ignore this person. Like, I almost treat them like with contempt, like they're beneath me. So I'll just like stand there. Like they start talking. I've done this so many times also. Like the guy will start talking. I'll just be like, yeah. Anyways, go back to talking to her. I won't intentionally diss them, so there's nothing they can really take issue with. They can't be like, well, why are you not talking to me, bro? Like, they can't do that. Yeah. It's not going to like diss them explicitly, but it's more like an implicit type of like.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so like who the fuck is this guy? Meanwhile, he's like gonna try and bang her for like fucking months. It's like, yeah, who's this guy? Like, that's kind of the vibe I try to take.
For sure.
All right, let's jump to the next question. Coach Kyle, are there any women you previously failed with that you were able to gain after your evolution to an alpha Chad?
That's funny.
How do you feel being an alpha Chad?
What the fuck is an alpha Chad? First off, I don't even know what that means. But I would say, yeah, definitely. In particular, I went back to my 10-year high school reunion, which was pretty funny to be at. And ironically enough, all the girls I had crushes on in high school, like the majority of them weren't even that hot anymore. But
I know exactly. Like they changed, and you're like, wait, I was like fucking hung up on this girl. Like she's like a 6 now. Like what the fuck?
Right. Yeah. So it was refreshing though because everybody else had noticed a huge change in me for the better. Ironically enough, those girls, I couldn't really say the same. Not that they were like horrible, but it's just like you see girls 12 years later, it really opens your eyes to the aging process with some of these people, especially if they're not taking care of themselves. Yep. Anyway, have I previously failed with women? Yeah, there's always girls that like they'll come back into your life like 2 years later, or I'll just run into them a year later, 2 years later. It's never like that one girl though that I always wanted. It's never been like the one that got away. I wish I had some epic story of doing that, but not really. Honestly, dude, just keep leveling up and working on yourself. Like the reason I don't have girls that I previously failed with when I was younger is like the quality of women is going up is kind of what I'm trying to say. Like
right.
I'm actively seeking hotter women. I'm not going back for old girls from like 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, or in high school reunion 10 years ago. So that's just what comes to my mind about that.
Yeah, the cool thing about pickup and game is that like it forces you, like if you want to get good at it, it forces you to level up. Most people with time, like the cool kids in high school, most of them now, they got fat, they're kind of ugly, like they level down. That's what happens. If you're not conscious, usually you level down. But the cool thing with pickup, it forces you to level up. So then like say when you were 18 or whatever, like 17 in high school, like you would think the cool kids are above you, but then with time they go down, you go up, and suddenly like you're like, wait, what? Like I was intimidated by these fucks. This fucker is fat, works at a gas station. His wife is like fucking fat. Like what? I was like jealous of this dude. Like this is ridiculous. So it kind of puts things in perspective for sure.
1000%. 1000%.
What's the difference between being spontaneous, funny versus being a dancing monkey? That's a good question. Can you give an example from your own life?
Difference between being spontaneous and funny versus being a dancing monkey. Okay. Example from my own life. I don't know if there was ever a point where I was the dancing monkey, honestly. I think from my own personal experience, like I guess my evolution in game, I was always just like the nice guy, but I was never like over the top dancing monkey. I was always afraid to just display intent. I would just be normal and social and like scared to ever show intent to the girl. And I would get a lot of nice to meet yous, At some point, I started learning this playful back and forth banter, push, pull, cocky, funny, asshole, player, douchebag guy. And I really got like obsessed with that. And there was probably a point in my evolution where I was actually labeled as being like too cocky and too much of that guy. And to be fair, I probably was. So I kind of like hit a threshold where I went a little too far with it. And then I just toned it back to the sense of, I guess, where I'm at right now, which is like being that cocky, playful guy, but finding a balance to it. So what's the difference? But I don't have an example in my own life of ever being a dancing monkey, but I would say spontaneous and funny. Man, I'm always having fun. I'm always laughing in the interactions in every set. I'm always smiling. I'm always putting out good energy. I think spontaneity is a great thing, especially in pickup. Like you want to be leading, bouncing the girl around. So spontaneousness is great. I'm actively moving the girl around the venue, or if I'm on an instant date, wherever, I'm bouncing around. Dancing monkey, I think, would be the guy that kind of lacks that ability to show intent or that kind of seriousness, that assertive, aggressive, dominant side to him as well. I think that would be the main difference, because I see a dancing monkey as somebody I can't really take seriously, or the girl doesn't really take them seriously, and probably because he's just like afraid to actually have that sexual tension. I think dancing monkey's lacking the sexual tension aspect of it. So that's probably the main thing. But you could be spontaneous and funny and still be lacking sexual tension. But I just think of, when I think of dancing monkey, it's that guy that's fun, but he's afraid to get serious and get that sexual intent. Like, I'm a grown-ass man, I will fuck you. Okay? Yep. So that's my thoughts on that.
I think also a big part of it is the place it's coming from. So you can be spontaneous and funny because you're trying to get the girl, entertain her. Like, yeah, like, I'm a funny guy, I can get her to like me through humor. Or you can be cracking jokes because you just want to have fun. You want to make yourself laugh. So I think the reason why you're doing it and the place it's coming from makes a big difference. But also, yeah, I agree. The sexual intent. Like me personally, that was actually a huge issue with my game when I was just getting into pickup, because I was like, oh shit, I'm funny. Okay, I can leverage my humor, and like I still do to this point. But I was just like, okay, I can just when I say funny shit, girls laugh, I get a good reaction. So that's all I was doing. So at one point, literally, I was at the Roosevelt, popular like venue in LA, and this one chick straight up said, she's like, hey, I was talking to her for like 10 minutes. She's like, I've like actually seen some pickup videos. I was like, oh really? She's like, yeah. She's like, honestly, like you're cool, but you definitely seem like you fall in the dancing monkey category. Like she legit said that. And like, I didn't even know how to respond. This when I was like 23. Like I was just kind of starting to get into game. I was like, more jokes, right? So it wasn't until that, like around 24, I hit a period where I was like, okay, I have to start adding sexual tension, more dominance, just all these other aspects of my game. Also, like I started having more confidence, so that I was making jokes for myself instead of making it to like impress the girl. So when that switch happens, because I'm still like a huge part of my game. My roommate, he was asking me, what do you do on dates? Like, how do you, what do you do on dates? And I was like, dude, honestly, I just like fuck around. Like that's literally like most of my dates is just me fucking around and just like do funny shit. That also, but I'm doing it just to like, I don't know, have fun for myself. It's not really just to like get the girl, but ironically, it's what gets the girl. Although we just hit over 200 live viewers, which is a new record for this channel.
Dope.
Hell yeah. Alex, no homo, but I would really like to see, this is the OnlyFans video. Yeah, I might, I don't know, maybe I'll link that one day. It's out there. If you guys do some detective work, you can find it. It's definitely out there. It's attainable. As that story I told earlier about my booty call locating. So you guys can find it. It exists.
I found it in 5 minutes. So.
Oh, this is a great question. Do you have a conscience? Do you understand that your role in playing in damaging Western society by promoting promiscuity?
Interesting.
I sleep, dude. It keeps me up at night. Honestly, I'm damaging Western society. This is
Western society. I mean, I never perceived it as that. Based on the feedback I've gotten from thousands of men that have all been positive, and obviously everybody's going to have a little bit of hate, but I think it's just an overwhelming ratio of positivity in my influence within male culture, Western society. I do have a conscience. Yeah, I'm totally aware of everything I put out, and everything I've ever explained to somebody on my YouTube is something that I found beneficial that helped my life. And at the end of the day, when you're watching my channel, if you don't agree with the content, bro, you don't got to watch it. It's just my perspective, and I'm trying to put out value. If it's helpful for you, tune in and watch it. You want to learn even more? Join the Patreon, bro. Like, you don't have to watch my channel.
Watch Oprah. No, I mean, honestly, I think the place this is coming from, and guys have to get, some guys have this mindset that girls who are not promiscuous, who have low lay counts, are somehow better than girls who are sexually active. And like some guys, I see this like in 20 to 30% of the guys in the pickup community. Like they're like, yeah, Alex, like I understand, these girls, but when you want to meet when you meet a girl to settle down with, you're probably not going to do what you're doing. I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to do exactly what I'm doing. Like I met numerous great chicks doing exactly what I do. It's like the girl who's like a virgin is not better. In fact, most of the time she probably has some weird hangups. Like I don't want to fuck a virgin or girl who has like 1 or 2 person lay count. She's probably going to be weird around sex. I'm going to have to go on multiple dates with her to smash. The sex is not going to be good. She's going to have sexual hangups. She's not going to be down for threesomes. Like all I can see is negative. Like that girl is not better than the girl who's fought 30 or 40 or 50 guys. So I think that once guys get over that and they stop putting like, a girl increasing her value because she's more sexually conservative, then this whole ridiculous notion goes away.
For sure, bro. 1000% on that. And then, what was I going to add to that? Oh, I think another reason that guys want like virgins and girls with really low lay counts is it's an insecurity of like,
definitely.
Who did you fuck before? Is his dick?
Was he better than me?
Or yeah, like was he better than me? Like, am I fucking this girl right? Or like, is she still caught up on that other dude? Or I don't know if I could fuck her. Like how, like, dude, shut the fuck up.
yeah, it's definitely insecure. Like, oh, was his dick bigger than mine? Like, I hope not.
Yeah. So, do I have a conscience? Absolutely, bro. 1000%.
All right. Oh, this guy. He did tell a little story. I went home with a cute girl, and after 15 minutes, she came from oral. Then she said she was really tired, so I left. Next message. I felt disrespected and taken advantage of as I drove home with her juices still streaming down my face like tears. I like the visual images this guy paints. How can I prevent this and be more alpha in the future? This was, in my opinion, this was just a very silly tactical mistake. So I never make girls come from oral unless it's a booty call line. I just get her horny enough and then I smash. Because if a girl is not strongly, like she's not strongly into you, she's just horny enough, and like that's the only reason she went home with you. She's not that attracted, and you make her come from oral, that can happen. Like the girl might be like, oh well, it's getting kind of late. So why would you make her come from oral? Just get her horny enough and then smash and make her come with your dick. Then once she's your booty call, then it's completely different because that chick likes you. So I just think that's a very basic tactical mistake on this guy's part.
I agree 1000%, bro. Essentially, once she orgasmed, the sexual tension was released. The goal is the sex is the peak of the sexual tension, not sexual tension released, downfall, re-escalate to sex later. No, the whole interaction from the moment you meet her or go on the date is a build-up leading to that climax. So if you already provided that climax without you fucking, you're essentially removing you and your dick from the equation. I would argue, get her close to coming or get her aroused enough. And then while you're doing that, start dirty talking to her. Maybe you're like rubbing your dick on her clit at the same time. And then one thing will lead to another, and the penetration will
penetration will happen. Yeah. But also, like, it's not personal. Like, this guy's like saying like disrespected. Like, it's not personal. Like, this chick didn't like set out to take advantage of you. It's just simply like a tactical mistake on his part. Also, I would argue that like you kind of what you were saying, like you're eating her out. Sexual tension is at its highest. What you gotta keep in mind is a good amount of girls like they almost see like because of like society that like every notch they add to their leg count, like they're almost like their value goes down a little bit. So I met numerous girls who were like very proud, like they were like, yeah, I'm just trying to like keep my body count, reasonable. Like that's something I've heard from numerous like otherwise smart and hip women. Like they're like, yeah, like I don't know, I'm just trying to, like very attractive girls, and they were like, yeah, it's just so hard to meet a good guy. Like it's, I haven't had sex in a year before I met you. I was like, why? You're fucking smoking. Like I know 100 guys that will fuck you right now. She's like, yeah, but like I don't know. I try to keep my body count. So basically, when she gets what she wants, and then she still gets to keep her body count, because in her mind, she's not going to count that as a lay. So she still gets to keep her body count low. She almost has that incentive to be like, okay, it's getting kind of late. Versus when she's horny, like she's like, oh fuck it, I don't give a shit. I want to do LSD with a girl and explore my emotional side, but I'm scared of accidentally acting beta. Thoughts? Oh my god. Accidentally acting beta.
Well, I guess it depends on how long you've been with the girl. Like, I wouldn't recommend LSD on a first date, second date. You know what I'm saying? Another thing is, so I would say make sure you've been dating the girl for a long enough time. I think the first time I ever did shrooms, I've never even done LSD. I've never done LSD. I did shrooms with the girl after fucking for like 4 months, and we smashed like 50, 100 times at that point, so I would say make sure her identity of you is solid enough to the point where like, do I have moments of beta-ness? I guess, but like at the end of the day,
everyone does.
Yeah, everybody does. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not always like must be alpha. There's sides to me that are arguably beta, guys. It's okay. But that's later on. You know what I'm saying? Like the very first impression, a little bit more important than when I've already fucked this girl 100 times and we're laying in my bed after she just orgasmed. Different. So another thing is if you're scared of acting beta,
I would make the argument that being paranoid of acting beta is actually beta. Like more, like an alpha guy doesn't get. Can you imagine like a truly alpha? Like let's take like I don't know, like someone.
Think about that shit.
Like some truly alpha guy. He doesn't think like, oh shit, was I a little beta today? Like he has this like beta notepad. Okay, I did this. That was kind of beta today. I need to be more alpha. TRT. Bam. Like fuck. Like
sure.
Gotta inject beta.
I will say there was a point in my evolution where I was analyzing shit like that, though, because you start getting into this stuff, you become more aware of it. You start trying to correct your behaviors and your mannerisms. So you have a lot of old tendencies, at least for me initially, where I was like, there was like one or two like beta mannerisms, and I would have a tendency of like every now and then I would catch myself doing that thing. But I guess long term, you are what you do repeatedly, so just continue working on yourself and your communication and your behaviors and your mannerisms, and have failures with girls. Act fucking beta in front of the girl and realize nothing bad happens from it, dude. Because if you're always in your head about analyzing, it's not going to get you anywhere, Yeah. Another thing is don't do the LSD. If that's like that's the worst thing for right now, maybe hold off on the LSD with the girl.
Yeah, for sure. I would also make the argument that a lot of guys don't really understand what being beta is. Like for example, dude, I have a dog who I just fucking go do. Like you can make the argument that's like beta as fuck, right? Like what like the weird games I play with my dog, or like how I sometimes take him to the dog park and I'll like chat with an old lady for 10 minutes about like nice husky things. Or like, for example, I'll, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so I'll nerd out with my buddies on Game of Thrones. Like these are all like, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other shit like that on the list. Arguably, beta things. But I think that being yourself, like all aspects of your personality, is actually much more alpha. I think the more beta behavior is like when you're afraid to kind of be yourself, to kind of go for what you want. That's more afraid to lead, afraid of confrontation. That's beta behavior. But just like expressing all aspects of your personality, like not every aspect of your personality is going to be super dominant and alpha. Like that's just not going to happen. Like everyone has like a soft side, like dogs, whatever, TV shows, comic books, like whatever, like with my booty calls, it's not like I'm just like fucking, hammering them with like, alpha displays all the time. Like sometimes we talk about like, like personal shit, like, like whatever, her childhood, my childhood, like, emotions, whatever. Like that's not beta. Like I think a lot of guys are just kind of confused on what actually it is to be beta. They think that anything that's like soft is beta, but that's not the case at all.
For sure. I just put out a video on this. Like, it's okay to be goofy, but what is the total package you're presenting to the girl? Your look, your vibe, your communication, everything. What is the total package of you as a person? And obviously, there's going to be some aspects that aren't as alpha as other aspects, but it's the total package. So you can always be a little beta. Like, but who gives a fuck? Like, I'm not analyzing it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. All right. We have Coach Kyle, my guy, tribute. God, how much of your success with women would you attribute to your looks? No homo. I'd give you my sis so I could be an uncle to your kids.
Oh.
Who would have thought that doing this live stream was going to get you laid?
That's funny as hell. I don't know.
Dad, how did you meet Mom? Well, I was doing this live stream, and this guy in the comments really wanted me to fuck her. So
yeah. So. Bro, how much of my success is attributed to looks? Like, how do you even calculate that? What, 37%? I don't even know how to calculate that, bro.
Be more specific, bro. 37.6.
It's the total package that you're presenting. The looks, your status, your communication, your confidence, your game. It's everything, okay? So how much of it is looks? Looks is going to get you in the door. That's about it. It's going to get the girl's attention on you. The moment she talks to me, though, I still need to be an attractive man. I still need to be confident. I still need to know how to escalate accordingly and build up a vibe and close and lead and do all of these other things. So honestly, I don't think I was that less attractive when I was about 26, but I could tell you I was not getting laid at all, because I just didn't have the knowledge or the confidence. At the end of the day, the confidence is number one, because if you don't push yourself to escalate and close, for sure, nothing's going to happen, even if the girl's into you. And I have several clients of mine that are better looking than me. Clearly, they're better looking than me, almost model-esque, that literally they talk, and it's just like, I could just tell this guy doesn't get laid. He doesn't talk authoritative enough. He talks so soft. Excuse me, like, hi, and so it's not any one thing. Like, looks, do they help? Absolutely. Does confidence help? Absolutely. Does status help? Absolutely. Is your communication beneficial? Like, it's every fucking element of it. So you gotta, dude, work on your look. Okay, get lean. If you want tattoos, get tattoos. Work on your swag. Get some nice clothes. Like, do all of these things as well. I'm on Invisalign right now. I got a hair transplant when I was like 2 years ago. Okay.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, so I've gotten a hair transplant. I've gotten 15 trays of Invisalign. I put Rogaine on my beard for 4 years.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
I've like, none of this shit was genetically given to me, okay? If it was up to me, I would be a fat, bald man with no facial hair and no tattoos. So,
did the hair transplant make a big difference for you?
There's a video on it on my side channel. I have a side channel.
I'm gonna check that out. That's one thing I've been flirting with.
Yeah, I have a side channel. It's really just to kind of back up my main channel. God forbid something happens, because all the infield and shit, I want to have something in case the channel does just get deleted. So I got a side channel that's got like about 10K following. So there's a couple videos up on there regarding like my tattoos, my hair transplant, a video on confidence, and like 1 or 2 full-length Patreon videos too, to give you guys a little taste of the Patreon and encourage people to join the side channel. So you can check that out. Has it helped?
We'll link everything in the description below.
Yeah, for sure. So what was the question? Oh yeah.
How much of your success is looks?
Yeah. So does it help? Absolutely. But none of this was given to me. I had to work on my look, and I'm still working on my look. Just like I'm working on my game, just like I had to fucking improve my communication. I've been in the gym for 13 years. I've been in the gym for 13 years. I've gotten a hair transplant. I'm still on medication to prevent my hair loss. I'm still on Invisalign. I put fucking Rogaine on my beard for 4 years. Okay. I'm actively grooming myself, and I take attractive women shopping with me, and they tell me what looks good on me. None of this was given to me. Okay. Right. So no excuses for anybody.
Dude, I like that answer a lot because it pretty much mirrors what I always say. Like, I always find it funny when guys say, well, Alex, you're like this really alpha Chad, but what about us regular people? Because it's funny to me because I never considered myself really that. Like, now objectively, I will say, like, I maybe have slightly above average genetics. But, again, horrible. Like, I have way more hair now than I did 4 years ago because I did a series of PRP treatments. I do all this shit for my hair. So, like, I come from a long line of bald Russian men. Like, everyone in my family is bald. I'm the only one that has hair, so it's like that. I'm actively fighting genetics. Like, my body, like, dude, like, I'm like an extreme ectomorph. Like, I was, at one point I was 135 pounds, same height. Now I'm 170. So, like, it's a struggle for me to, like, I have to lift heavy weights and be very, very consistent with my diet. So, like, again, like, none of this shit was also, like, given to me, right? Like, I was born with above average height. That's about it, right? My nose is crooked. Like, it's just like there's all these issues that I can take fault with. So I definitely agree with that. Like, focus on optimizing your look and optimizing your game. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. And the only logical course of action is to focus on optimizing both. The way I always explain it is looks, sexual market value is what gives you opportunities. Game is what allows you to capitalize on those opportunities. But like you said, like, I have numerous friends who are way better looking than me, who get way less pussy than me. They're way better looking, so they get more initial attention, but they literally can't capitalize on any opportunity unless the girl is, like, literally like, okay, I don't care, don't open your mouth, just take me home and fuck me. Like, those are the only times they can get laid. Like, when the girl is that interested. Any girl who's like, I'm gonna feel out his personality, is just like womp womp womp. So you have to focus on both. Like, that's the only logical course of action. And I've always, I finally remember what I was trying to ask you earlier. So I watched a video on what the red pill community is not telling you, or the red community. And I thought that was really interesting because it kind of mirrors what I say. Like, the red pill mindset is like, yeah, focus on maximizing the sexual market value, and then all the problems will solve themselves. No, they won't. How many people out there? How many, like, fucking, famous rich people or athletes who get, like, close to no pussy, or, like, doing weird shit, and then they get called down the news for, like, trying to suck off a little boy in the men's room? Like, like, how many weird sexually frustrated people there are who have really high sexual market value. So no, they don't. The problem doesn't just take care of itself. You need game. You need to be able to interact with women. So I agree with that. That's what the red pill community definitely, like, just misses the point on.
1,000%, bro. 1,000%.
All right, move on to the next.
Paul, tell your sister I said what's up.
Post a picture of the sister. We'll see if she's hot. Imagine the sister's like a total smoke show. She's like a perfect 10.
Oh shit.
Sis, you gotta fuck this guy. He's so cool. Just let him nut inside of you, though. I want really good looking fucking nephews. Do you ever talk to a woman about your feelings? How about your homeboys? Alex, I feel J-Mo would just laugh at you. Alex, I feel J-Mo would just laugh.
Yeah, I don't understand the second part.
Paul, he's one of my good friends, so I really don't think he would laugh at me. I mean,
I don't understand.
Do you ever talk to? Okay, let's just answer the first part of the question. Do you ever talk to a woman about your feelings? How about your homeboys?
Okay, my feelings in terms of what though? Like, what does that mean? Like, with the girl, I need Paul to elaborate on this question. And how about my homeboys? Like, I'm guessing what he's saying is, if I really like the girl, am I gonna tell her that? I'm guessing that's what Paul V's saying. If Paul V's
talking about, like, being emotionally vulnerable, like that's what I'm guessing. Like, just like being emotionally vulnerable, you're not like constantly guarded. You're able to, like.
Gotcha. So I'm really at a point where I've hammered out every insecurity of mine, and I've talked to so many people about it that, like, I don't think I have any of these, like, actual insecurities or vulnerabilities. Like, I talked to a girl, she knows that if we've been dating long enough, she will know everything about me. It's never presented in the, that's the answer. yes, you can absolutely talk to a girl about your feelings. It's all about the frame that it's coming from. Okay, it's all about the delivery and the place it's coming from. Because if you're truly insecure or you're unsure about like sharing information with the girl and it's coming off weak, and she could tell that like you're weak about this thing, yeah, she's gonna perceive it as kind of quote unquote beta. I hate to use that word, but whatever. But at the same time, I can talk about my insecurities. I'm so comfortable with myself and my body and my previous experiences and the trauma with my dad and all of these other things, the death of my dad. I can talk about any of that stuff from a confident frame. I can still engage in traumatic experiences or emotional vulnerabilities or whatever the fuck. Like that doesn't matter because the frame is what it essentially the only part that matters. Sorry, my boy's calling me. I was a little distracted. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. You can be vulnerable. I think guys, I don't want you to think you can be vulnerable and now all of a sudden you're on the second date and you're like, so like, I really like you. Where's this going kind of thing? Are we going to be boyfriend, girlfriend? No, like that's the wrong time to do it. Yeah. Okay. And that's way too soon. There are moments and windows in the courtship where there's a right time and a right place to discuss these kind of things from the right frame as well. Okay. That's my answer to that.
Yeah, so I want to elaborate a little bit. So I want to point out two different things. First of all, it's that when you're, there's two frames. I think the mistake most guys make is that they're just so desperate and they're so needy and they're so lonely. Like they're willing to the first girl that's more or less treats them with respect. Like they're coming at from a perspective. I really want this to work. I really need this to work. Like I need this to work, right? But the high value frame is that almost of a skeptic. Like you already have all your basic needs met. You're kind of skeptical about each woman. Like she has to earn your, you'll fuck her, first night, but she has to really earn your affection. At least that's the frame I always have. So, and girls kind of see that, like, the common criticism I get, almost all my, exes or booty calls is like, Alex, like, you're like so like emotionally guarded, like, and there's some element of truth to it, but it's like when a girl has to almost like earn it. And then at that point when I'm like, hey, like, I really like you. Like, when I do decide that I want to make this girl my girlfriend, it's so much more powerful because I'm not coming at it from a place of like, I need you. It's more of like, she almost like won me over, right? Versus of like, I convinced her, right? Like she won me over. So it's just completely different dynamic. I would say the second thing that, sometimes guys are like too soft. Like you shouldn't be like super soft, like where you're like a pushover. I think that sometimes guys confuse, being emotionally vulnerable with being a pushover. When I was learning pickup, I learned, and I kind of still agree to this, there's two types of game. There's attraction game and there was connection game. And some guys are way better than others. And I've kind of witnessed that. Like some guys, like their game is nothing like my game. They don't really crack jokes. They're not really escalating fast. They're more just like building these deep connections with girls, and girls fuck them. Like that's never really worked well for me. I've always preferred attraction game. I think you do too from watching your infield. So at that point, yeah. But you don't need to build a connection with a girl to fuck her. Like that's absolutely not necessary. Like you can just purely fuck a girl because there's a lot of attraction there. So that's kind of like my mixed answer on that.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree, bro.
All right, we have a good question. Is using contraceptives beta? Yeah, man. STDs, alphas. If you're a real alpha, you should be able to just fucking knock out HIV out of your system.
Is this the same dude that was just asking me to bang his sister?
I think so. Yeah. He wants you to. He wants to make sure you're gonna fuck his sister without a condom.
Oh, okay. Oh, there he really wants to be the uncle, I guess, or the nephew, or whatever the fuck he was saying. Is using contraceptives beta? Dude, come on, man. What kind of fucking question is this?
We get weird. Way weirder.
Ew, you're not the man I thought you were. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, daddy, you want to put on a condom? Oh, God, I thought you were like a real man that was just gonna fuck a random stranger raw. Yeah. I personally, my policy is I wear condoms unless it's like a girl. Yeah, I've slipped a lot in my life, but I generally try to wear condoms unless it's a chick who I'm like seeing and I kind of trust her. At that point, I generally try to fuck her without a condom, but it's kind of always been my policy.
I'd say I'm definitely more aware of condoms now. I think when I was first starting, I was like immature in game. I was just scared to get lays and get my lay count up, and I was like, yo, I gotta do this.
It feels so much better. And then I got chlamydia, and I was like, okay, probably don't want to get that again.
Yeah, I've actually never had an STD.
Really?
Yeah, never had an STD, and I've probably been with I want to say at least 50, 60 unprotected.
Interesting.
So I don't know, but at this point, I mean, I'm actively dating a girl who knows about everything else I do. So it's just a kind of an agreement moving forward. Condoms with every other girl, you know. So
that makes sense. Yeah,
that's just how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
What else
I always also, guys, sometimes I get this question. I don't know if you get this question too. Like, bro, I really want to, sleep with a lot of girls, but I'm so worried about STDs. I'm like, some guys are like so worried that they like are almost like hesitant to fuck a girl. And this is what the argument I always make. Really, the only STD that matters is HIV. Every other STD, it can be very easily treated with a week of antibiotics. HIV, as long as you avoid, generally speaking, the 3 big risk groups, which is prostitutes, IV drug use, and fucking dudes. Like, as long as you don't let some dude fuck you in the ass, which you probably shouldn't, unless you're into that sort of thing, then your chance of getting HIV is extremely, extremely, extremely low. Like, the more commonly you get like STDs, like, whatever, like chlamydia or gonorrhea, which can very easily be treated with a week of antibiotics. They're like, less of a big deal than like the flu.
For sure. I think, to quote Lil Wayne, safe sex is great sex. Better use a late text, because you don't want that late text that I think I'm late text.
Yeah, I was just listening to Lil Wayne earlier today. This is old shit. Like, that song right above it?
For sure.
It's a classic. All right. Do you regularly use toys or handcuffs? Can you elaborate on how to do this? I put the handcuffs on her, and then what? And then you leave the room, and you say, like, all right, I'm going to go hang out with my boys. See you later. Also, how the fuck does tying her? See you later. I'm popping on a live stream. Also, how the fuck does tying her to the bed work?
That's funny. Okay, so I actually don't actively use toys. I never actually have used a toy. Never.
Really?
Never have used a toy.
Dude, that might be the wildest thing about you.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. But at the same time, I've never had sexually unsatisfied women. I mean, maybe initially when I was like getting into this shit, but I don't know. I never had the desire to. I'm not saying I'm better than a fucking vibrator or anything like that, because I'm sure some of these girls got the damn near power drill going into them. So I'm sure it's satisfying. I don't know. I never felt the need to, honestly. Or I guess that applies for dildos and shit too. I have not experienced with toys at all.
Bro, you got to get the Hitachi magic wand. Every person who I've told to get it, and they were like profusely thank me afterwards. The cool thing about, how there's some girls that are like, some girls are very easy to make them come, some girls are in the middle, but some girls are like really hard to make come, and you have to like fuck her for an hour, and like sometimes you like just like you just don't have the stamina. Like, you're literally fucking her and you're just like sweating all over her. I guess to the point where there's more sweat than like yeah. But anyway, so the Hitachi magic wand, you can put on her clit while you fuck her, she'll come in like 2 minutes. Pretty much every girl.
Dope.
I just keep it on my nightstand, and usually when I pull girls back, they get curious about it. I'm like, oh, you want to see how this works?
Interesting. Cool. I'll definitely check that out.
I'll send you the link later. Yeah.
Cool, for sure.
Do you regularly use toys or handcuffs? Yeah, I just use the Hitachi magic wand. I'll do toys sometimes with like handcuffs or whatever, but it's usually more with girls who I'm seeing, like when we're trying to like. I think the mistake you can make is like when you first pull a girl back, you don't want to like intimidate her, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna tie you up. Like, there needs to be an element of trust there, and if she sees all that, like, she might, like, if she's a little bit more squirmish, she might like reconsider her decision to sleep with you. So you don't want to like freak her out. So I think that's something that's good to introduce once you fucked her, like not before, generally speaking.
Sure. Do you use the magic wand on like the first lay?
If the girl lets me, yeah.
Cool.
Like some chicks, like the common question, how many girls have you used this with? And obviously the answer is a lot. But I'll be like, well, I clean it every time. And some girls are, that answer suffices. And for some girls, they're like, no.
Yeah, that was the first thought that came into my mind, is if you're bringing it out on the first time, I guess it could put up some red flags about who else this has been used on. He must do this a lot or whatever the fuck. I don't know. But
I generally bring into the picture like while I'm already fucking her. So it's like especially if it's one of those girls who like, it's just like, it's really hard. She's like, no guy has ever made me come from sex. So I'm like, all right, this one's going to be a challenge. Right. Like, I already kind of have a naked jerk. I can't eat her pussy for like half an hour. Like, all right, time to bust out the Hitachi magic wand.
Dope. I'm going to check that out for sure.
Yeah, man, that's good shit. How can I assert dominance over my girlfriend's dad? Do I make it clear his daughter's screaming pleasure is my priority?
What the fuck, man? How can I assert dominance over my girlfriend's dad? Do I make it clear his daughter's screaming? Well, definitely not the second part.
Sir, I'm gonna make your daughter come buckets.
Bro, first off, let's. This is Paul V. This is the dude I think that wanted me to fuck his sister.
This is the dude who wants you to fuck his sister.
Yeah. So.
And he doesn't even have a sister.
My real question is, why do you need to assert dominance over your girlfriend's dad? Like, what? Why is it always like a fucking dick swinging contest about who's the most alpha and who's got the highest leg count? And like, dude, who gives a fuck, man? Who gives a fuck? You don't need. Just be unreactive to your emotionally unreactive to the dad, and like, I don't know, like, I guess the dynamics depend. Like, I would need to really pick Paul V's brain about this question to understand. Like,
you're a normal guy when you talk to the dad. Like, you're a normal person who can shoot the shit. And if you want to win him over, find something that you guys have in common. Like maybe he's into fishing or something like that. Yeah. And just like that's really like, you know, I mean, I don't know how much this story counts because it's like 30 years ago. But the story my mom tells, you know, with my dad is that my grandpa, he was also like very protective of my mom. And then like, and she dated a few guys. He never approved of any. And the reason he liked my dad is because my dad was into like doing handiwork and fixing things around the house. So my dad literally just like talked to my grandpa about like handiwork. And especially because in Russia at that time, like, you know, my dad was Jewish, so I was kind of like class below a little bit. It was not like, you know, a strategic marriage move for my mom, right? So like generally speaking, like my dad was almost like considered like beneath my mom, right? But like he just like talked to like fucking like, you know, the shit that him and my grandpa had in common. And then like my grandpa loved him, right? So like if you really want to win over the dad, don't try to assert confidence. Just find something you guys have in common and shoot the shit about. That's going to be much more powerful than trying to frame battle him.
Yeah, I think this is just a trolling question. Short, sweet answer is like, I wouldn't even recommend trying to dominate the girlfriend's dad. Create a connection with the guy. Don't try to fucking out alpha him. Like, be cool with it.
Can you imagine like this in action? Like, hello, sir.
There's definitely more valuable questions in this chat. Let's put up some else.
All right. What's your beard routine? Is it bad to trim against the grain?
Interesting. So something I recently learned about beards that I wish I knew years ago was like, the most important part is actually growing the under part of my beard. Otherwise, I just don't have enough facial hair right here. Like I used to, from 24 to like 28, 29 even, I would always line up my beard right where my jawline was. So it was like, if you look at my older videos, older videos, I kind of look like this. And the bottom would just be clean shaven. So, and I always thought, oh, I just don't have a thick enough beard. I would need to fucking have it really thick here to get it. But the truth of the matter is you just need to grow out the under part of it to really have like a nice, pretty, I wouldn't even say my beard's like that good, but.
I would say it's pretty solid, dude.
It's definitely getting there. The Rogaine still working at fucking 4 years in, you know what I'm saying?
Do you rub the Rogaine all over your beard?
So when I was younger, I didn't have this fucking thing. It was scruff, shorter than what you had. Even if you look at my videos from early 2019, I would just come out the shower, put it on my hair, just put it on the beard a little bit. You know, that was it. I would do minoxidil on my beard daily for several years at this point. And then another key thing was growing this under part and making the beard line actually down right above the Adam's apple. And then also just having a nice fade from the sideburns, super short, almost down to skin, and then it just kind of slowly grows back in. And I noticed if it's a little bit longer at the bottom and not as long here, it makes a nice oval-shaped face. Because if I had this, guys, if I had all of this grown out, and if I had the sides grown out, I would not be attractive. My face would be fucking round. So actively, what I'm doing is I'm trimming this. This is super short, and then with a detailer, I'm really trying to like narrow this part out to make my face like an oval, not like a fucking circle.
Are you doing this yourself, or are you going to barber shop?
I do all this myself. I give myself this haircut. Due to COVID, I started giving myself fades. So I actually wouldn't say
you do your own fade on your hair.
Yeah, I did it.
How the fuck do you do the back?
I got two mirrors that kind of pull open, so I can see like this. It's a little bit of a struggle. I'm by no means a great barber. Like I've been doing this for about since COVID started. So in March, I started fading myself. First day after a fade, it looks pretty shitty. There's clearly a couple lines. Right now, I'm about 5 days post haircut. So once the hair grows in a little bit, it looks nice. Like there's a couple of people I saw in the chat asking me where my barber is. My barber is right here, bro. But it takes a couple of days, honestly, to grow in. So I'll typically do my hair on like a Tuesday. That way I know for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's got a pretty clean, nice little transition to the top type thing.
How often do you groom your beard? Like, is this something you do like twice a week, or how often do you do this?
I pretty much just do it before I'm going out. So like not on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but like maybe on a Friday night or Saturday night, whatever the big event is for the week. If there is a big event, I'll put the Rogaine on, let that dry out, put a little bit of beard balm on, and then kind of push it down into the way I want. And if there's still a couple hairs protruding, touch it up at that point, And then maybe once a month it'll get like a little too long. At that point, I got to go in and kind of hit it with the fucking trimmer. So a little bit of beard.
I always struggle with my beard. Like sometimes it just gets too unruly, and sometimes it's like. But you feel like the beard balm is like helps a lot?
I rarely use it. I just started using it. I've been strictly just on Rogaine for it. Actually, I kind of like Rogaine. Well, one, the minoxidil helps with the hair, but two, it's almost like a styling gel that doesn't leave you like with like a weird texture. It's got a natural kind of a texture to it. So I'm big on that. But let's keep it moving. I want to kind of.
This is gonna be a beard podcast
topic. So like I want to give out some value. Let's talk. What else we got?
Okay, let's crack into this question. How to improve my game if I'm 18 and in my country you cannot go outside for COVID? Also, girls at my age use Tinder only for IG followers and have fear to date for COVID. So my quick take is that I think this guy has a little bit of a limiting belief. What country are you in, but you cannot go outside due to COVID? Like every country is lessening up the restrictions. And also, yes, there's a lot of girls who are 18 years old who are only on Tinder for Instagram followers. There's also a lot of 18-year-old girls on Tinder who just want to fuck. So that's like a limiting belief. Like, oh, in my country, like girls only use Tinder for this or that. Like that's unless you're in like Saudi Arabia, like you can pull off Tinder in your country, So that would be kind of my take. What would you say?
Well, there's also Hinge, Bumble, all these other ones too. Like even if you think it's only Tinder, first off, seek other dating apps. Two, just to tie back on to what you said, bro. I don't think there's any place where you absolutely can't go out and socialize. You know what I'm saying?
There's no way. I don't think there's anything like that.
And it's a limiting belief. I guarantee you could go to a park somewhere. If you were destined to make a cold approach, you could make it happen. Gun to your head, you could go out and find somebody to approach. Even if that's just going out and socializing at the fucking supermarket or at Walmart, wherever the fuck, like you could find a way to make it happen if you needed to. It's not ideal, but yeah, I would say start out with dating apps and start out studying how do you improve your game. Another thing is study this shit religiously, If you can't go out that much, put some more time into the theory. Another thing is find your ways to socialize with people, dude. Like
there's definitely ways. I'll just like a personal example. Like when the COVID thing started, for like, I do like I mostly get late from outside, but I definitely do cold. Like when I walk my dog, or sometimes I go out to bars with my friends. Like I just don't write about that often. But then when the COVID thing started, for like I don't know, I was just like thinking, I was like, you know what, like maybe now if I do a cold approach, like these chicks are gonna freak out, blah blah blah. And so I kind of had like almost that limiting belief in my mind. I was like, like fuck it. So 2 months I like barely did any cold approach. I was just mainly focused on the channel and shit like that. And then it was like, like right around April, I was like, like what the fuck? They're gonna freak out. Why do I do this shit, man? And like no one fucking freaked out. Like, there's a few girls who are like a little reluctant, but most girls, like if you open them, you have solid game, like they're gonna be down to talk to you, man. Like, so a lot of people just make a big deal out of things that aren't really a big deal.
It's not. By any means, it's not, guys. Like I was just out last night. Honestly, what's your verbal and physical escalation? Feel too shy. Feel too shy to initiate touch. Talk to a girl for 6 hours when she came and did nothing. Jesus Christ, 6 hours. Holy shit.
I don't even know what I would talk about by hour 3. I would just be like,
Yeah. So what's your verbal and physical escalation? I mean, dude, on my channel, I literally have a step-by-step physical escalation video of like how you can break the touch barrier, how you could work your way up from there. Like I guess I'll give a quick little summary. First and foremost, physical escalation, you want to just break the touch barrier as early as possible. It should be something subtle, typically hand on the shoulder, hand on the lower back. It depends on the environment that we're in, you know? So daytime, I'm probably not going to fucking lean in and hug the girl to break the touch barrier. It's probably going to be something light, maybe even playful, like a playful push away or something like that, or you know, something like that. And also, don't draw attention to the fact you're getting physical if you struggle with that. Like, don't be like, hey, how's my hand on your thigh right now? Like, that's weird.
You like that, little girl?
It's always subcontext to the conversation. Okay, so physicality should be done while conversation is going on. Okay, but dude, really just watch that video. I go really in depth, and there's a lot of infield showing several different examples. Another big part of that is you want to interact with the girl and start the interaction as close to her as possible. The further she is away from me, the more awkward it's going to be when I lean across the table to touch her. But if she's next, she's a foot away from me, and I'm very articulate with my gesticulation and stuff. If I'm talking like this, at some point I was like, yo, you know what's interesting about you? It's not it's a micro percentage of an escalation. You know, it's just natural, it's casual. It's oftentimes while I'm talking about the girl too. So it's like, hey, you know what I just noticed about you? While the hand is on the shoulder. And I'm not like staring at the hand. Okay. So that's how you break the touch barrier. Get comfortable getting more physical with girls. That was something I definitely struggled with for a very long time.
Same here.
Getting that touch barrier over. And then you want to treat the verbal escalation the same way, bro. It's all micro escalations. Okay. So how can I summarize verbal escalation? I just did a 2-hour lecture on this literally right before this call. So something very easy to verbally escalate is you can either escalate the topic or you just escalate the what Todd would call the pronoun. Instead of talking about me, I'm talking about her. And what's more of an escalation of her is us. Or initially it would be I, you, us in the negative, and then us in the positive, right? So like typically a boring conversation is gonna be I talk about myself, and then they talk about themselves, and then I talk about myself, and then they talk about themselves. A little escalation is talk about the girl. Find a way to make the conversation about the girl. Some kind of an observational statement, some kind of an assumption, some kind of a cold read, something about the girl you could tease her on or make it playful, and maybe a little bit of a push away, a little bit of a challenge, okay? Like something you're talking about the weather. Okay, so that's cool. What did you do for work? We're talking about boring topics. At some point, I just be like, yo, I just noticed you have like a very exotic look to you. What are you? Are you Puerto Rican? I make the conversation about the girl. I'm not pedestalizing her, but we went from weather to, by the way, what's your ethnicity? I just noticed you have like a very exotic look. Talking about her now, that the conversation has escalated, okay? That's a very quick answer to this. Like I said, I just gave a 2-hour Patreon lecture on this. So if you actually want to really go in depth with that, check that out. But that's like short and sweet answer. Escalate the topics.
Yeah, so I like what you said. So there's the most basic boring level is you just talk about yourself. And a lot of guys make this mistake, but no one gives a shit about you besides your mom and like maybe a few close friends, right? The girl, she doesn't want to know like facts about you, right? More people want to talk about themselves, so that's much better to talk about you frame. But there's also the we frame, which I think is the best, where you talk about you two as like one unit. So I do a lot of that. You know, I'll be like look at us, like, you know, she gives me a little shit. Look at us fighting already. We're gonna be one of those fucking married couples who just fights and then just has crazy passionate sex against the dumpster. You know, yeah, it's a little bit of an extreme thing, but it's pretty congruent with my personality. I'm not saying guys should say that verbatim, but I think that the issue with this guy is not so much a lack of technical knowledge. I would say it's more fear and anxiety, right? So this is the example I always give. You know, 10,000 years ago, you know, or like even 1,000 years ago, there was no pickup videos, right? Like your great grandparents, they didn't have like these tactical escalation videos. As a man, it's hardwired into you to be able to escalate on a woman you're attracted to. So it's already in your genetics. Now, of course, there's much more optimal ways to go about it, but at the very least, you should be able to escalate somewhat, right? But you have to. The only reason you can't is because you have all this fear and anxiety. So like this guy, he hung out with her for 6 hours, but the reason he didn't make a move wasn't because he didn't have the exact sequence. It's because he had a lot of fear and anxiety, and so he froze up and did nothing. So for guys like that, the biggest thing you have to do is you have to progressively desensitize yourself to things that make you anxious. So, for example, like, you know, when I was getting into game, I was also a little bit like hesitant to escalate. So forced myself to do things that made me uncomfortable, and it wasn't even like the most optimal game. But then when I got over my anxiety, When that went away, then I could improve your game. But you're not going to learn advanced style escalation when you have so much anxiety. Like you're not going to be able to do it. It's just not going to happen.
Right. I totally agree with that. So, yeah, you want to learn these extreme advanced micro calibrations and micro escalations once you're comfortable doing all of these things, like what Alex said. But initially, you got to be able to just go up to the girl and tell her you think she's cute. Okay, because if you never get over that, or if you never can touch the girl, you're not going to get to the next step. Okay, you're always just going to be afraid to kind of like show a little bit of intent. So really beginner thing I tell guys that they can just apply is just say something like, you're cute, but blank. It's just like a natural push-pull. You're cute, but whatever. But make sure you got this teasing, challenging, little playful vibe going on already. Man, I don't want to go on a fucking rant about this one. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I would just say this, like your primitive subconscious side knows what's up. So if you're with a girl, you're back at your room, and you get this feeling, this voice in the back of your head, like, oh God, I really should just kiss her right now. But what happens most guys? They fight that voice like, no, like it might not go well. So actually go with that voice. Like let your subconscious take over in those situations. Like when I have a girl back in my place, I'm not consciously thinking like, how am I going to escalate? I just like kind of relax in the moment. Then like my subconscious takes over, and then sex happens. I can then analyze it afterwards and see, okay, this is exactly what I did, and this is what I can teach guys. But I think a lot of it is just like not being so in your head and just like letting your body and your primitive side take over.
For sure.
How do you stay in sets despite neutral bad reactions?
I mean, what kind of question? How do you stay in the set, bro? You stay in the fucking set. Like, what does that mean? I don't understand. It's like, why are you walking away to begin with? How do you stay in the set? You keep talking. I don't know, man. Like, I don't. Is this the most recent question?
No, dude. We have so many questions.
Are up on the list or no?
We would do. We're like 5% of the way through. Like I said, yeah, we're gonna get through a small percentage of the questions.
Oh, gotcha.
I would just say, like, if a girl's giving a really bad reaction, I'd probably call it out, and then if she's not congruent, I wouldn't stay in. I would probably, like, if a girl's being very non-receptive, like, I'd rather spend my time on a girl who's gonna be more receptive. So you don't always have to like stay in the set for like an hour, and the girl's being a giant bitch to you. Like, I'll be like, hey, listen, I want to meet you. Are you like, what's up? Like, you're being kind of aggressive. And then she's like, oh, I don't want to meet anyone. I'm like, okay, cool. Have a good night. Like, there's nothing wrong with walking away.
I agree. I would say give it a minute. Don't just because the first 2 seconds of the open didn't fucking hook means to dip. Give it a little bit. Stay at least for a little bit. Negative reaction. Be unreactive initially and keep vibing. Watch the infield I have about how to turn a rejection into a success. Essentially, I go in, it's blasé. She turns away. I reopen. I start talking. I socialize with the friend, and I put it back on her, and I start vibing. If she was still ice cold, I'm probably not going to be in there that long. At a certain point, it's like, oh, okay, you know what? Have a good night. Enjoy yourself. And I move on, okay? So you got to know when to call it quits and don't force it indefinitely, but also don't eject right away.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, you can't expect, like, you open a girl, she's like, oh, my God, I was waiting for you. Hi, Daddy. Like, that's not going to happen that often. Most of the time, you are going to get, like, a neutral to mildly positive reaction.
For sure.
Most girls are definitely into tattoos, but there's nothing I want written on me for life. So then don't get a tattoo, man. Like, it's like if you don't like tattoos, like, I'm sure you are the same way. You've probably, even before you got to pickup, you like tattoos and you thought they looked cool.
For sure, bro. I treat my life like it's a video game. I told you guys I was big into World of Warcraft. I'm now my World of Warcraft character. If I wanted my guy to look buff with tattoos and a nice beard, I've constructed that man. Okay, I reverse engineered myself to look like that man as much as possible, and I will continue to do so until the day I die. Okay, so back to his statement. My first tattoo was actually for the death of my dad. It's R.I.P. to my dad and the numbers of when he was born and when he passed. That's how my tattoo journey started. I felt compelled enough to put it on my body, and I don't regret a second of it. So, you don't want tattoos? Don't get them.
Yeah, simple. Kyle, okay, I'm just gonna fix this grammar. I know you've landed a girlfriend. Will we see more relationship content from you?
Oh wait, is he saying he landed a girlfriend?
No, he's asking you. He's like, are you gonna put out relationship content?
Oh, sure. Yeah, dude, I like both. I definitely like both. For sure. I don't know if I'm gonna make a how to get a girlfriend product, but it's interesting because I like to document what's going on in my life, especially on my Patreon. I feel like I keep fucking promoting the Patreon, but I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, like, I talk a little bit about my personal life and my dating and stuff like that on there because I don't necessarily like to broadcast that to the general public. But absolutely, I think because this is the first time I've actually started dating somebody seriously while running pickup, and the girl knows about the channel and is on board with the whole thing.
You guys have like an open relationship, or what's the dynamic?
We're actually not even boyfriend and girlfriend yet. It's not even at that point. We've been hooking up and fucking and dating for about 6 months. I would say we're essentially boyfriend and girlfriend without the boyfriend and girlfriend label. Right. So will that happen at some point? If things keep moving the way they do, I mean, eventually I'm not opposed to having the title or the label there. So 1000%. And I always like to lecture based on my life and my experiences. So as my dating continues, I would love to keep putting out more and more content about that. Primarily speaking, though, that probably will be on Patreon because, like, she knows about the channel and shit. And I know she's actively on my YouTube. So I'm not going to make a fucking video bashing her at the same time. Not that I would even do that, but I just put out a video.
How did you meet her? Cold approach?
Actually, no, I didn't. I met her through essentially, like, I didn't blatantly approach her, but I met her through mutual friends from people I met through cold approach, if that makes sense. So I don't know if she would necessarily even be in my life if I wasn't out cold approaching. Right. So that's another thing about cold approach is like, dude, my social network multiplied. You know, that my friends that I hang out with now are all from cold approach, whether that was out at the club and I made a friend, whether that was some dude I just started a conversation with at the gym, whether one of my closest friends was at the gym and he just recently got tatted. I was like, yo, dude, I just peeped. You got the new roses on your arm, bro. It's looking fresh. That was my open to a fucking 5-year friendship. So, well, back to the question, will you see more relationship content? Absolutely. I'm really big into long-term seduction, especially getting a girlfriend, like, and having the relationship on your terms and not becoming that beta pushover dude that's over-compromising himself. And really he's in a relationship, he's like kind of like the quote-unquote settling down type of a relationship. You know, I'm really big into not doing that because I was in a relationship from 20 to 25 and I was that guy. I really was that guy, and I pretty much loved that girl, but at the same time, it wasn't on my terms. I was too weak. I didn't have the right power dynamic. I didn't understand attraction. I didn't understand any of this shit. So I'm very passionate about long-term seduction and shit. So I
actually made a video on this topic a while back when I had a girlfriend. But basically, I was pointing out the biggest mistake guys make with relationships is the reason they get into them. So guys will commonly, most common reason that guys actually get into relationships is because the girl is hot and she fucks them, right? So they get into a relationship for sex. But the argument I make is that, I'm sure you'll probably agree with this, is that shouldn't even, like, it should be assumed that any girl you would even consider dating is going to be hot and you're going to have amazing sex with, right? It should be, the reason you decide to date a girl should be because she brings value to your life in other ways. Like, for example, you know, you guys have cool times together. She's very smart. She's very, you know, sweet. Like, so you should be looking for qualities other than physical looks. Like, the physical looks should just be a general baseline. So, like, the common patterns, like, I've had 4 relationships in my life, and they're all different. Like, one of them was like a blonde, you know, we have 2 Latinas, we have, you know, half Persian, whatever. But, like, the one thing they have all in common is they're all smart, they're all very sweet, and all very loyal, right? Like, even though they come from all different walks of life. So, like, the hot part is just, like, already assumed. Like, then once you don't focus so much on that, you, like, already assume that, then you can focus more on other qualities that matter. So the key thing to, like, having a good relationship, a big part of it at least, is, like, picking the right girl. Like, the girl has to be, like, there's some girls who I would totally fuck who I would not even, you know, consider dating, right? Just because they're not, you know, they're just, you know, they're not loyal, they're not sweet, you know, whatever.
For sure. Man, I could do a 5-hour rant on relationship talk and setting the right expectations and how to handle the courtship. And
dude, you like this comment? Kyle, 1 hour side lecture foosh.
That's accurate for sure. I'm doing my best to, like, not go off on a tangent, especially because
I do that all the time. You guys should do a collab for boot camp or something after growing. Dude, yeah. So it's a good thing that you posted that because we'll be organizing a summit. Probably gonna do it in Colombia, and you should definitely come, man. So I'm gonna get, like, the top speakers there. Like it's gonna be a dope event. I'll give you more information on that when it starts coming.
Any reason in particular why you're doing it all the way out in Colombia?
Yeah, so I feel like it's gonna be I want to make it like the ultimate experience for guys, and I know for a fact that if we do this boot camp or if we do the summit in New York, Miami, LA, whatever, any one of the biggest cities in the US, unfortunately, like majority of guys, they're either not going to get it or maybe they'll fuck one girl. And I think a lot of these guys, for them, it's just like, like when like for us, like, yeah, pussy's not a big deal when you already have a lot of it. But like for a lot of guys who are scarcity, like that's like the key thing. It's like, oh, like I need to get laid. And I know if we do it in Colombia, that every single one of the guys, if they just follow my basic tips, they can fuck like half a dozen of girls. So that's like a big motivation. But another one of it, it's going to be a lot cheaper there. So like, everyone can stay at a nice place. Like everyone can ball out. It's also like, it'd be more of an epic adventure. It's like a beautiful city, Medellin. So it's just going to be like more of an adventure versus like something more like New York or Miami.
Gotcha. Cool.
Do you travel a lot, Kyle?
No, I don't. I really don't. Honestly, I don't. I plan on, I think once COVID's over, I want to do some kind of like a world tour, honestly.
You definitely should, bro. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's see what else do you have. What do you text a girl? What do you do if you text a girl to hang out? She says she's on her period.
Okay, well, it also depends, man. A lot of these situations depends. Like, how long have you been seeing this girl? Have you had sex with this girl already? Like, do you only want this girl to come through to fuck? Is it a girl you're pursuing actively that like you see a future with? Like, I think all of these things kind of depend. You know what I'm saying? I have girls that are on all different levels, right? I have girls that I meet out. Maybe we just like girls from last night. We made out. I got a phone number. She was cute, but like I don't even want to go on a date with her. I would that kind of a girl, if she's down to come through and bring some wine and chill, I'd be open to that. I have girls that are on a slightly higher level that like, yo, this girl's hot, this girl's bad. I wouldn't mind actually going out on a date, building something with her, seeing her multiple times. And then there's girls that like, there's all spectrums of the thing. And so what to do if a girl? I'm trying not to go on a side rant. What to do if you text a girl to hang out?
Dude, I have a legit text for this. Literally, this is what I said. Don't worry, I'm a man. The red fairy doesn't bother me. It works quite well.
Dope. Okay, well said. Well said.
Simple answer.
Handle the text questions, and I'll do my own thing.
Okay, we got this question. Let's do a few more, and then we'll call it. How long do you pursue a girl before you realize she's wasting your time?
How long? I would say, well, man, I hate to say this again, but it depends because depends on how hot she is, and also it depends on like to what extent is she flaking? You know what I'm saying? So she's super hot and she flakes a couple times. That's to be expected. I'm not gonna invest all of my time and effort into her because she hasn't proven that it's worth the investment. So I don't think there's anything wrong with like following up with her every so often to reinitiate a meetup. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever burn the bridge where it's like second flake, fuck you forever, you're blocked. Mm-hmm. Like why? I just don't reach out as much, keep her up on IG. Dude, she could be fucking some dude that she's not over and she's just not even like ready. I think one of the hottest girls I ever slept with, she essentially fucked me like while she was like on break with her man for like a week, not even, and then like right after she was like back with this dude. So had I burned that bridge when I initially met her, I would have never gotten that lay. I would have never gotten that opportunity to even happen. But, I just initially up front, pursue a little bit, try to set something up, flake, whatever. I'm not butthurt. It's not a big deal. I wasn't like basing my whole day off of this whole thing. If anything, I would even say like, book dates in multiple, like double book, anticipate a fucking flake coming, bro. Okay, if you got enough of them and you're double booking, triple booking, who cares? I could always throw out the invite sometime, and even if she doesn't want to meet up, next time that there's a gathering, I'll send an invite. Hey, my boy's throwing this big house party. You're welcome to come by if you want to bring a couple girls. What investment does that take from me? Fucking nothing, you know what I'm saying? So there's no reason to ever like burn the bridge. You just kind of pull back on your investment and reaching out.
Yeah, well said, man. Yeah, I agree with that. There's never a reason to burn bridges because it can pan out any. Sometimes I've had girls who like came through like 2 years later, like whatever, I don't give a shit. And you can make the argument that she wasted 2 years of my time, but not really, because I wasn't focused on it. You know, like some guys are like, dude, it took you 2 years to fuck this girl. Like, how beta are you? That's what like the red pill community was saying. Like, dude, like I forgot about her for 2 years and then she came through.
Bro, keep her on the back burner on IG and let her watch you fucking level up. Who cares?
Hey, I'm level 10 now. Do you want to fuck?
Yeah, I'm level that's true too. What do we got?
If someone was to go out and do cold approach during the day for the first time ever, what percentage of rejections, number of days, do you think would come out of that?
I would say 100% rejections. If you've never gone out, you've never done cold approach, you've never approached anybody. Me personally, I can tell you from experience that was my situation. I was 0 for 15, and I couldn't do it alone. I had somebody fucking pushing me into these interactions, and the first 6 were straight blowout. So, dude, I can't say that that's going to be for everybody, because that was me at an absolute beginner with extreme level of social anxiety. There's guys that don't do cold approach that have success with women. There's guys that have significantly higher lay counts than me that have never done the art of cold approach. I guarantee you a guy like that, he already has a good understanding of how to communicate to a woman. So it's going to be different for everybody, bro. If you're an absolute beginner and you really struggle with women, I would anticipate it being a high percentage. If you're a little bit more confident and you just don't have experience in cold approach, I would expect a slightly lower percent of rejections.
Let me actually follow up on this question. What percentage of like for you, like when you're doing cold approach now, like say you're doing day game, what percentage of girls that you talk to, you get their number, and what percentage of those girls do you get out on a date, like roughly speaking, just ballpark?
Well, I would say I don't actively do day game unless I'm filming, because where I live, there just isn't a lot of day game. I have to drive about an hour to go I have to drive an hour into Manhattan to film, because that's literally the closest, most efficient place to day game. So I actually haven't day gamed in a long time. I'm kind of curious to see what it would be at this point, because I feel like my game is at a significantly higher level. So the extreme majority of my approaches and my learning process in game has been night game. So I would say, but I also think night game is more there's pros and cons to both.
It's more efficient, for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to get into too much into that, but honestly, I would say, man, if I was going out to day game right now in Manhattan, in like a park, like probably like Washington Square or something, I would approach. I'm pretty selective too. Like I don't really like to go up to like girls that aren't at least of a certain caliber. You got to look
on the same way. Yeah.
It's another thing. It's like, are you approaching everybody? Because if I go up to a girl that I'm like clearly out of her league, yeah, I could probably close those girls the majority of the time. If I'm going up to slightly hotter women, well, one, I'm going to have to be waiting around a little bit longer. I'm probably only going to find 5 to 10 of them in a day. But let's just hypothetically speaking, if I approach 10 girls daytime in Manhattan, I don't know, I would anticipate at least a couple phone numbers and at least one instant date, like at least. I don't think I've ever gone out and filmed and didn't get numbers and didn't get an instant date. That's just like, I've never gone out and was like, well, that's a goose egg. But to be honest, I haven't even filmed that much. Like literally all the infield you've ever seen from me was filmed in a 1 week span. I filmed infield for 1 week, and that infield has kind of like carried me this far. So I would love to get out there and start filming again. I'm so excited because the amount that the channel has grown off of that little bit of infield is just crazy to me. So I don't have set answers, bro. I would say for sure a couple rejections, for sure. And for sure a couple phone numbers, and for sure at least one instant date. So out of 10.
Yeah, I would say for me, if I approach 10 girls, I'd probably get like 2 or 3 numbers on average. And out of 3 numbers, maybe 1 out of 3 will come through, something like that. So if I approach 10 girls, like probably 1 lay or something like that, maybe even, like 20 girls it would take to get, it just depends on the city, but something like that, like any guy who's telling you, for example, if you see something like, you're going to get 100% of the girls you approach, total nonsense. Like, and most of the time when you get rejected, it's not something that you did. It's just factors outside your control. Like she has a boyfriend, whatever, just like some factor that's, you had nothing that you could have changed, in that situation.
For sure. 100%.
Okay, so let's do like a few more questions. How to be a high status man when your boys are around a chick?
around the chick I'm with, how to be a high status man.
The question is like when you're hanging out with a girl and your friends are there, like how do you be a high status?
I'm the same fucking dude. Honestly, I really am. I'm the same fucking dude. You will always see this is who I am. It's not like the camera comes on and I'm like, time to be Coach Kyle or whatever the fuck. Like this is who I am. This is who I am when I'm chilling with a girl. This is who I am if the girl's there and my boys are there. I'm the same fucking dude. So how to be the high status man when the boys are there? You just be a high status man to begin with.
Yes.
You come in. I'd say the main thing though, generally speaking, what guys do, or at least what I used to do, is like I would typically hang out with my boys a little bit more and like stop showing my girl attention, or I would be afraid to like show any affection to my girl in front of my boys. This is like a decade ago, but that's just how that's how I was when I was younger. But the real answer is like the high status man doesn't give a fuck who's around. I think that's the real answer to this.
For sure. I mean, like you can't put it on like an act like, all right, I'm gonna be a high status man now. I'm not a high status man, and you should never like put on an act in front of your friends or in front of her girl, because first of all, people can pick up on that. Second, that's inherently low value behavior. It's just like you're putting on like a shtick. So don't do that.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one last question. How do you know if a girl is just trying to be nice?
I'm guessing what he's referring to is like when you go for some kind of a close and she kind of politely, or I guess that's just like how I know she's just talking.
I think what he's getting to, if you're talking to a girl and you're like, is she actually interested, or is she just like being polite? Like even before the escalation.
Got you. How do I know even before the escalation? Well, just keep the convo going. Eventually at some point she's going to have to show her cards. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I have her back at my house and we're about to fuck, and she was like, wait, I just came with you because I was being polite. You know, like it's not like it at some point, as long as the interaction is progressing and there's some kind of verbal escalation or physicality, at some point the politeness would have to stop, I would assume. Yes. So I'm just gonna politely fuck you. You know,
I just politely dated this guy for 5 years and let him fuck me in the ass. You know, I didn't want to be rude. You know, he said like he's never tried anal before, so you know, I didn't want to be rude and say you can't fuck my virgin asshole. Yeah,
I would say okay. Actually, analyzing this question, I think the thing is you're too nice, and you're not risky enough in the interaction. There's not enough escalation. There's not enough risk being taken. So you're walking on eggshells the whole interaction, and the girl's going along with it, being polite. And then at some point, you eventually, maybe it was like 20 minutes, or in that one dude's case, 6 hours in, you made a move, and the girl was like rejected you. And now in your perception, it was like, oh, well, maybe she was just being polite that whole time, and she didn't really want me. So you got to be real with yourself about, are you being too much of a nice guy to begin with? Because I could tell you, there's never a point where I'm interacting with a girl and I'm like, man, she's really just trying to be polite, so she's with me. That doesn't happen to me. So how do you know? I think it's more you getting that result from the girl is more a reflection of what your game is and what you're kind of putting out there. And I think you're kind of playing it a little too safe. And that's kind of why you're seeing this result. That's my analysis.
No, I agree with that. You're going to see a lot of like this. Sounds like something a prom guy would have, who has a really hard time showing his intent. Like if you're showing your intent clearly, it doesn't have to be like, yo, I want to fuck you, but like more, you know, indirectly. Like you're going to get a lot less of that. Versus if you're just coming in like trying to be your friend, then it's a little unclear. But also you can look at things like her body language. Is she like has one foot out like she's trying to go, or is she like fully facing towards her eye contact? Is she really looking at you? Again, that's some girls are just shy; they won't look at you. But like stuff like that, is she touching her hair? Is she asking you a lot of questions? It's a big one. Like is she asking you, what do you do for work? Like it's very rare that a girl you fuck doesn't like. Most girls want to, you know, what do you do for work? You know, like stuff like that. Do you live here? Like there's like these basic questions that a girl will ask if she's actually interested in you, and that if she's not interested in you, she's just going to be like, you're just asking all the questions. You're carrying the conversation. She's like, She's kind of looking around. That's more of a sign that, you know, she's not that interested. So you can look at a lot of factors like that. But also just showing purpose and intent is going to, you know, significantly minimize the instances of girls trying to be nice.
Yeah.
I want to end it off with actually a question of my own. So what would you recommend? What would be like your top tips, you know, for guys? Let's just say like the beginners or intermediates, you know, like what are the most common mistakes you see guys making when trying to learn game, trying to do cold approach? Like the big ones.
Okay. First and foremost, not taking enough action, 1000%. Like that's everybody. It's everybody, myself included. When I was in this, just not taking enough action. Any sticking point you have, I guarantee would be significantly reduced, if not destroyed, if you just 10x the amount of times you were in that situation. Okay. Approach that speaks for approach anxiety, afraid to escalate physically, afraid to escalate verbally, afraid to get sexual, afraid to pull, how to pull. You're not putting yourself in the situation enough to get the reference experiences needed to learn from it. Okay. Yes. I got guys on my Patreon that have been studying, but it's like, this is nothing more than an extremely detailed navigation. I could have the best navigation app on my phone in the world. If I never start moving, I'm never going to get to the destination, period. So first and foremost, guys, 10x whatever you're struggling in. Okay. That's one thing. Another thing is, I think guys are trying to figure out the whole puzzle when, if you're just starting into this, treat it like training and focus on whatever your current sticking point is. So if a guy's afraid to open, don't be watching open to close lectures and figuring out advanced details about how to pull and shit when you haven't even you can't even go up open. You know, your only goal at that time should be, let me open 10 people and get myself into 10 interactions. At a certain point, your new sticking point is going to be, okay, well, I can open. I just don't know how to transition off of the open, and I run out of things to say after like the first or second sentence. Now you want to focus on learning how to keep the conversation going. That'll be and then once you get there, the new sticking point will be, okay, I can have a friendly conversation, but I don't know how to display intent or how to tease or how to make the conversation non-platonic. So then you're going to have to learn how to do that. And you treat it like that. It's almost like if you're trying to learn basketball or you're trying to learn a certain move in basketball, going out and playing full court pickup, it's not going to really help that much, as opposed to if I just stayed in the corner dribbling with my left hand. I would really get that reference experience over and over and over of using the left hand. Because in pickup, full court, I'm going to learn 5% of what I could just isolating that one drill. That's one thing. A couple other things I see, guys, they just never smile. There's just no emotion in their entire face, just serial killer, like bland as fuck, okay? Everything needs to be animated. If you watch me talking, even right now, my hands, my face, my eyebrows, everything on me is giving out some kind of emotion or expression, okay? That's how you become extremely engaging. So it's the voice, it's the look, it's the gesticulation, it's the tonality, it's the change in rhythm, the dynamics to my vocals. It's all of these things that really make for engaging communication. Definitely work on that. And then, man, there's so many like little beginner things, honestly. I would say it's the lack of emotion, like lack of smiling, lack of talking bland or not talking loud enough, afraid to show intent, afraid to open. Those are like 5 or 6 ones I think the majority of beginners struggle with, for sure. Yeah,
just letting your fear dictate your actions, right? Yeah. I think the big misconception you guys have is that, like, I can only speak for myself, but I still have like some level of approach anxiety. Like, it's still
for sure. Me too.
There. Like the big difference is that I'm very good at ignoring it, right? And the more you can ignore it and take actions despite your fears, less power they have over you. So I think the common thing I see amongst all beginners, guys who are really struggling, is just a very high level of baseline fear and anxiety around like dude, my roommate, like I'm trying to teach him like how to talk to girls, and like me and him would go out. I have to spend like 5 minutes convincing him to approach a girl that's his type. It's like this back and forth. I'm like, dude, like you could have already approached her, gotten her number, we could be home right now. Like, it's like this high level of anxiety and fear. So getting over that.
One thing I would say to that, because I struggled with that a lot. I used leverage to force myself to take action. I could not take action by myself when I was getting into this, guys. Like literally, I studied pickup theory for 9 months without ever making one fucking approach. Okay, I studied pickup theory for 9 months every day, and I never made a fucking approach. That's like studying how to play the guitar for 9 months and never picking up a fucking guitar. You know, guys are trying to become a master guitarist through reading guitar books. No, dude, you got to play the fucking instrument. Yes. So the way I had the balls to do it was I used money and putting myself into opportunities as leverage. At the time when I first got in this, there were these guys, they were running this site called daygame.com. I think it was like this guy, Andy Yosha, and this guy, Yad. So I was watching them.
Oh, I know those guys.
Yeah, okay. So They were somewhat big at the time. I don't know if they were big, but
you know what's funny? They wound up living in the same exact place where I used to live. Really weird coincidence. I'd noticed because they would, they used to do like a lot of threesomes. I noticed I'm like, this room looks really familiar. I was like, wait a second, motherfuckers are living exactly where I used to live, like same exact fucking room.
So I saw them, and I was on their email chain, and one day I got a message from Andy and was like, we're doing free student infield breakdowns. All you need to do is volunteer, and if your footage is selected, we're going to use it as a breakdown. So I was like, this is a great opportunity. If I fucking sign up and I get selected, I'm going to be forced to approach. So I emailed him. Andy Yosha texted me back and was like, yeah, dude, meet us in Manhattan Saturday at 3 p.m. at this spot in Lower Chelsea or whatever the fuck it was. And then I was like, holy shit, I got to go do this thing. So I took the bus into Manhattan, nervous as fuck. I meet Andy. He pretty much right away just mics me up and is like, okay, go talk to that girl. I was like so fucking nervous, bro. He's like, yeah, go talk to that girl. I go over, just pathetic experience, instant blowout. Come back. He's like, dude, you don't have a fucking smile on your face. Like, what's up? Like, put a smile on. Go out again. Blowout, 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 blowout. 5 blowouts in a row. And then from there, he started tweaking me a little bit. He's like, dude, look at your body language when you're trying to talk to these girls. You're like you're closed off and you got a serial killer face. A couple tweaks, 6, 7 approaches in, the nerves have calmed down a little bit. I'm starting to like actually be okay to have a normal conversation. I start getting girls to stop, start having a little bit of brief interaction. 10 approaches in, I'm having like 3-4 minute interactions with these girls, but I'm not showing any intent. I was just like a friendly conversation. And at that point, he was like, all right, I think we got all the footage we need for today. And I was like, fuck, man. I'm like just finally starting to like stop girls. I was like getting excited. But I went home that day seeing the other side of things, like, holy shit, dude, like you could actually work on this skill set and get better at it. And I fucking did it today. So I used that leverage for me to take action to get myself in the door. I then further increased that leverage by paying Todd $1,500 to go on a fucking 1-week immersion course with him and like 10 other students. And now we're out and I got $1,500 of leverage on the line because now if I don't approach,
you wasted your money.
It's a waste of money. And to be honest, there were a lot of guys on that program that still didn't approach. So some of it is not being a pussy. The other part of it is using friends, pressure, money as leverage to give yourself that initial leap to get to that level. And then the next year again, I did another 1-week course, $1,500 again. So each year I kind of leverage myself to take it to the next level, take it to the next level, take it to the next level. And eventually you'll break a threshold where you get to a decent skill set where you don't have a problem at least interacting with people.
Yeah.
And then you kind of take the training wheels off, so to speak,
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you said. Like leverage is also huge. I kind of forgot about this, but you kind of brought it up. When I was initially getting into pickup, like I was also young. I was really hesitant to approach girls. So what I would do is I would have a rule, like, all right, today I'm going to approach 5 girls. I cannot go home until I do this. And I would literally sometimes, like, because I would fucking dick around, but I was like, well, I can't go home. I made a rule. And I would stick by it. And I would force myself. It would get to a point where my desire, my approach anxiety was superseded by my desire to go home. It was like, I just got to get this over with. And then, like I would get her number. Like I was like, oh, shit. So doing that. Another thing me and my wingman used to do, like when I was really getting into pickup, was I'd give him like, $50 and then he would give me $10 back every time I did an approach. So we do shit like that. So leverage is definitely huge and it's important to use it 100%.
For sure. That's one of the biggest things, I think. Had I not have done that, I would never have made an approach, probably to this day. If I didn't use leverage, I would. And then even still, after the programs were over, I would start hanging out with friends that I like to coach. So when we would go out, I almost had this pressure of I need to be the guy that's approaching because I'm trying to like show this guy how to approach. So there was still like a friendly type of persona pressure to go out and approach when I was with my boys. So anybody that's watching this that's like struggling with that, dude, let your boys know, let your wing know, hey, dude, look, I'm trying to go out tonight. I'm trying to get into some social interactions. I'm probably going to have some approach anxiety. Like, push me to go do this or take this cash and don't give it back to me until I've done what you've told me to do. Okay, use that fucking friend or that money as leverage to get your way into taking the right action. And over time, you'll start getting the reference experiences, which will give your brain the evidence that it's okay to do this shit, you know, and the more evidence you see, the more you will just start to have a new belief about things.
For sure. Like, I know with me personally, like, the feeling I used to hate is like the feeling of like pussying out, like not taking action. Like, I could get rejected a bunch, but as long as I took action, I would still go home feeling pretty good about myself because I tried. But the feeling I just couldn't stand, like I experienced it a few times, was when I pussied out and didn't take action. I hated that feeling so much. So like I would just, if I was like hesitant, like, you know, like in my early days, I'd be like, remember that feeling? I was like, okay, I do not want to experience that. So as long as I approach a girl, I'll still feel pretty good. You know, if I don't approach her, that's when I'll feel like shit. So there's also like avoiding pain.
The pain of not making the approach to be greater than the fear, which is why the money, the loss of money is greater than the rejection, or the feeling of beating yourself up and hating yourself for the next day is greater than that 2 or 3 initial seconds of anxiety. So it's always, what's the value proposition? Okay, that's why I said use the leverage to increase in that one direction to help you take that first step. So
definitely. Dude, this was dope. We just hit 2 hours. I think we dropped a lot of fire on this live stream.
Sure.
You know, so if people want to follow you, you know, what's the best way they can go about so? Like, how can people find
YouTube me, Coach Kyle. YouTube me, Coach Kyle. We'll put all the links in the description. Yeah. Everything. If you guys want more in depth and you already fuck with the channel, I strongly encourage you to jump on the Patreon. There's just a dumb amount of content on there. Honestly, it's probably bad for the industry because I'm literally putting out too much for a $15, $20 monthly subscription. Like I wish somebody had this shit when I was learning game. Because like the prices a lot of these guys were charging were like upwards of $500, $1,000 for some of these programs. And you could argue that it's worth it. I certainly think it is worth some of that money, but I think I put out a lot for a very reasonable price. And if you fuck with the content, keep it going. So all that shit will be in the description. And Alex, it was a pleasure having me on here. And
man, thank you for coming on, dude. This was a dope live stream. We gotta do another one of these in the near future.
For sure, I'm always down. Or if you got one of these panel things coming up, you know, I'm always down. So
I'll let you know next time I organize one for sure, dude.
For sure.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. Thank you guys for watching. This was a dope live stream. Definitely enjoyed this chat. Have a good night, bro.
Take care, brother. Shout out to everybody that came out too, that participated.
Later, man.
Peace out.